It's midweek and I'm excited that you always choose us. Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the AM show live on the Joy News channel. I'm excited about Wednesdays because I think it gives you an opportunity to right all your wrongs, start all over. You have 2 days to end the week, and so what you couldn't achieve, you still have that ample time to get it done. So be energized and be ready to wrap the week very nicely. However, on the show, on News Review today, a lot of matters are rising. Concerns are growing over the safety of Ghanaians in South Africa amid renewed hostility towards foreign nationals. And Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Benjamin Kwashi, says arrangements are underway to repatriate nearly 300 Ghanaians who have indicated their willingness to return home as tensions escalate. We'll examine the growing fears, the diplomatic response, and what this means for Ghanaians living abroad. Also this morning, the rising cost of hostel accommodation is putting pressure on students and parents across the country, and Parliament's Education Committee is expected to investigate the matter as concerns grow over affordability and regulation within the student housing sector. You also know that the Minister in charge of Education has set up a committee to probe that petition by news. And a little later, we'll go to the concerns that's being raised by the NPP over what it describes as attempts to criminalize free speech following the arrest and police investigation or invitation of social media commentator David Isando, that's also developing or triggering debate over political expression and accountability. Then later on the show, we'll turn our attention to the development within the NPP as the party set up new committees ahead of its reorganization efforts, with flag bearer Dr. Muhammad Dubamia naming his former rivals as co-chairs on some selected committees. We'll discuss the political significance of the move and what it could mean for the party's unity and the road to 2028. Now, joining us for the discussion a little later will be Amanda Akokwa Clinton, Kofi Kapito, Bernard Bediako-Bedu, as well, and Fifi Boafo. We shall give you a little more details about them when we start the discussion. But thank you so much. Would love your comments, your reactions, your suggestions via all of our social media handles. You're definitely a great part of the show, and we do not take that lightly or lightly. My name is Emefa, Akosua-Addo. Always a pleasure to have you join me on the show. Right now, though, you want to stay for some news updates. Denise Pomaije will bring that up.
Hello, good morning, and welcome aboard to the AM News. My name is Janicia Pomaje, in our very first story. For years, Amanguasi in the Dwabin district has lived without electricity despite repeated promises. Now, residents, mostly farmers, are raising money from their menial jobs to connect the community to the national grid, hoping to give their children a better future. Here are excerpts of Joy News feature A Dark Village by Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Night falls in Amanguasi and life grinds to a halt. No electricity, no light. Years of broken promises have kept the community in darkness, with residents still waiting for a connection to the national grid.
Do you have any questions? Okay, so we are taking another example.
It's a few days to the basic education certificate examination, and for final year JHS candidates in the village, preparing for their future means battling something more than just exams.
It's very difficult for me to learn because we are using the same flashlight in the house. My mom will be using that one to cook, and I have to also come to classes, so I need to eat before. So I won't get flashlight to come to class, so I need to stop the class and wait in the house.
Can anyone tell us what to do?
Inside this dimly lit classroom, students take their final mathematics revision lessons.
Clap hands for her. Very good.
Each night, they gather as their teacher leads them through revision across subjects. But unlike their friends in other towns and cities, learning at night for the external exams in this part of the world without electricity is a daunting task.
I want to become a midwife in the future, but in this condition, no light, and I know I can't learn ICT, but I'm trying my best to learn and achieve my dreams in the future.
Better be a doctor by and I'm a Ghanaian who's 17. I'm a BBI slow into Unia Adeti Adeti and Adeti or a bit with work from the Ufra from about Nadiasa until Unia light and first torchlight also Mama used to
Today, they are fortunate to have one parent give out her solar lamp to aid their learning. The lamp flickers from the ceiling, barely lighting the classroom.
Sometimes they even come with torchlights and other things for studies, and it's not helping issues. We can't even have regular meetings in the evenings because of the lighting system.
So you know be a light no starting book no so by can light na ni na ba for there's an aya teacher in board no so there's an the watching na ya bin ho sa ya be on se obeti by o kai sebia ka light wa na ti bi sia ka we nyina ere ambanti na sana ma wa nyina bebe.
The absence of electricity is heavily impacting academic performance here.
For this community, I've taken all the students as my own. And as you can see, a parent and your child goes for a DC and then eventually the person fills up. At least you feel the pain. And sometimes, I sometimes wonder, how can I do to help them? Sometimes I try to even convey them from here to a nearby place where there is electricity so that I can at least demonstrate something for them to understand. And for once, you can't do that, and it's pathetic.
Good evening. How are we? I'm fine. Let's take our seats.
This has been the plight of the many graduates the community has produced. Look at Danso, once among the top brightest students of his class, recounts the ordeal he and his peers survived in their primary school days decades ago.
Every day, Kai say, me, I was once like you. Mikobisa, Mukras Mude cry you, Mokona ha, Buamaton and Echo, Monsieur Buye, you are a boy, Yakone Samba. We're 7 in number. So when we were about writing BEC, we had asked to go into a different school because we were few. Unfortunately for us, when the results came, there was a single number. So we're like, it could either be Danso, Majid, Fatal, or another guy. But we had to go and check and find out who actually had the single number. And when we did that, we realized that Majid, my colleague in the village over here, had a single number. In fact, it was, something very interesting. We're full of joy because we from the village with our lights, walking, for a long distance to school. But we were encouraged to learn because
The Amanguasi community is home to over 300 residents, founded nearly 50 years ago by laborers who traveled down south to work on a plantation. The village is seeing a growing population, but the community located on the fringes of the Jabe municipality in the Shanti region has since the time of its first settlers not experienced electricity. The residents have for years relied on torch lights, kerosene lamps, and in some homes, solar panels.
Light in the hall. Obabi wo de obetimi aye no light ade e de bia nsuo kura obeton na sebi wanye kakra de atwedua na mankola bibia sa ni ho enti sebi ye swale hanuma ade obetimi ade ndan ho light ni ho tinisa ye mba ye fasikan ni yakwafu akodo ni anya kakra ba be de abe ya mankola light in de hu hie pa okroma godo nyumle se kura nyame na boy ho ban ebu onu ma mbo atia ibi Ozo na down sa light ni wondi hu nyanya na bo so se wo hwe ade no bo nza aboara na mo a no wura de
even daytime cry hu friends police for hada maybe once in a while normal betwim echo so but me who say my friends security there nyame na ye dey e boy ho ban wa ha
In 2020, the community was thrown into a frenzy when some political actors arrived with electricity poles and assured them of connecting their homes to the national grid. But the poles were never erected. They now lie in weeds, almost deteriorating.
2020, and I left with 2 days as a car airport waba. Near who say, car be at the poles here, a bakruma. So I don't know, a new jeba krumha. And I said, and the young woman to maintain your light. And now, the pools and every toll. So now, almost I was, you're to a baby, a mobile continue. I hear you to a baby. At that time, no, not was school. The ultimate one and a committee for affair. Pools no, a per se a quote. This like a sample, and I am going who they are area. Contractor, not. Omode ba say wono na ese ka odi adwuma na o ka kire say ade no na I can pick can omode beto ho because omo ye adwuma na wie wodwaben na post na ka na omo sesade a ese ye na e ma omo press say per light na omode ere omode be gu ho so omada dae.
The joy that erupted the day diminished by the several nights that never came with electricity. The moments rather left a stark reminder of what they describe as political deceit.
I think of the light more than even getting myself as employed, because I look at the young ones, how I passed through. Were they able to do that? But time I said, because I could remember us in this village. Now we stay in this village. We walk from Mars to Kwaso. That's why I started my primary school. Was this able to do that? So that's why we think like we have to come together, and we are appealing to anybody who is capable to come in our aid, because this situation is getting very worse.
Just as they have been forgotten in the dark, reaching their loved ones, even through mobile phones and social media, is a real struggle. On this heap of sand, I meet Ibrahim, crumbling for internet connectivity to reach a friend.
Light is serious because light no want me and every and network so when we see people grow hano and the people no cry and as I say network no cry comfort bound I say network no cry the network no find the the light no so here because a drain bla on the Mlantia de Nkajanka light or Kruma Naja, they enjoy Kaka. See, light non Tiaja, do Bobby no Fiana Fanaja, be a question of them. Betinka light and war the anke bit matna bontia manacha akra. So a fancy light in new intino. Intimate sad, no man
Now, what better than the then away in here? Internet here on here na network here on here better than I see.
I'm patchomi chatty.
Oh, chatty.
Madam will be in the chat.
Just one better now. How to me no down for no beer.
David, go round to me. We are it is and helper or hamper.
In the Jabe municipality, only 69.4% households have access to electricity from the national grid, with 16.5% households using flashlights, while 11.5% use kerosene lamps. Just like Amanguasi, several communities within the municipality yearn for electricity. Adama Al-Hassan is the assembly member for the Diapompo electoral.
We have sent a proposal on several occasions. They have made even requests. They have made a request that we should bring our problem with the challenge of the light. That is not only this community. We have submitted several communities. We have a community like Bankroso and other communities, even Yabokum. We didn't have light there. So we have made several submissions of documents indicating that we urgently need light here to support our people.
A recent electrification project in the adjoining communities ends less than 5 kilometers away from the village. This is a junction connecting 3 constituencies. On my right is a road that leads to Bosomtwe constituency. Right in front of me is one that leads to Bosome-Freho constituency. And behind me is one that leads to Amanguasi under the Drabin constituency. And in the 2 constituencies, that's Bosomtwe and also Bosome-Freho, electric poles are running through the communities, and so for them they have lights. But unfortunately for the residents at Amanguasi under the Drabin constituency, electricity is one they desperately look for. After decades in the shadows, the people of Amanguasi are done waiting. Typically on weekends in villages, funerals, weddings or any other customary events take center stage. But today isn't like any of those days. The joy of the kids in this village as they dance to a traditional tune is one of a renewed hope to study at night without drudgery. The atmosphere under the tents at the event reeks of desperation and zest to see their village lit up at night after many years of neglect.
Oh boy, I say. Oh boy, 20 million. Oh wow. Wow. And Canadian into you. And I would 2,000. And the way and Canadian into.
From their meager incomes as farmers, the residents in one accord pool their resources together for the electrification project. From voluntary donations to auction sales of their farm produce, they must raise at least 400,000 cedis to connect their homes to the national grid.
In humanitarian grounds, I think we are not being fair to the people here, because if you don't have light, how do you do other activities? Like for example, you are having this interview going on, so how do we even watch what we are going to show? It's worrying.
Sadia, you see above for DNA. You penkaniano. You have Sabanse. Also, almost you are saying, you have any number by almost you are saying no more cree. The creation tumpon. You will have a cry in Yana. A better I have Biasi.
Electricity in the community is an end to a social canker in the village.
And it drew maybe not teenage pregnancy cost ye pa because the internet question say na once I assume it enable no insia kwa baby ayusum but light in your basic ma be masa de ni na asesa ama disuan so ayeden akosuru ye pa.
So as we've worked how many examples? 4. Do anyone have a question on what we have studied so far?
For these children, studying at night is not a routine.
One thing that you need to
it is
also
a struggle.
understand
A struggle against failing light, against fatigue,
right?
against a system that has left them behind.
I feel bad because I can't learn ICT, and those in the city can learn ICT, and we are going to write the same exams. So somehow I feel bad. I'm pleading them to help us get electricity.
People have been in this situation, but they have able to rise up. But what if lights come again? We think it will help. That is taking some of us that no matter how, we all fight and fight until that day that the light will come to this community. I will never sleep. I will never sleep.
And as this community strains every muscle to raise 400,000 cedis for something many take for granted, one question lingers: how long should the people pay for what should already be theirs? For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Now, moving on from Amanguasi, students in the eastern corridor of the Wa West district have long had to travel to the Wa municipality to access technical and vocational training, often at a high cost to their families. That is set to change with the construction of a new TVET institute in Ga. Upper West Regional Minister Charles Luanga Posen cut short for the project, fulfilling a pledge made by John Dramani Mahama during the 2020 campaign. Now, the institute is expected to bring practical skills training closer to local communities and expand access to vocational education in the district.
After years of sending students as far as Wa Municipal to chase technical and vocational dreams, the eastern corridor of the Wa West district is finally getting its own TVET institution, and the relief is palpable. Upper West Regional Minister Charles Luanga Posen broke ground on the state-of-the-art facility on behalf of President John Dramani Mahama, calling it proof of the government's commitment to reach every corner of the region.
As we cut the sword today, I'm joyed that a promise has been fulfilled by the NDC government.
Charles Posen framed the project as part of a broader policy shift towards skills training that makes young people self-employed, employable, and employed. Though the district has a technical institute at Wuchao in the district capital, which recently was absorbed by the government, the eastern corridor of the district neither has a technical or vocational school nor a single second cycle institution. For families already stretched by poverty, the cost of sending children elsewhere has been prohibitive. The groundbreaking closes a loop that began in the 2020 campaign when chiefs and people appealed to then candidate Mahama to establish a TVET school if elected. Though the NDC lost that year, the appeal resurfaced in 2024 and Mahama agreed. At the ceremony, excitement was high as lawyer Charles Luanga urged chiefs and queen mothers to take ownership.
Let us make the projects that are owned by the people of Wa West, and not that it's a government project. It is fun when people and communities own projects. That makes its development meaningful to all of us.
Wa West Member of Parliament Peter Lenchine Tubu, a retired superintendent, backed a shift towards technical education and hinted at plans to link the new school with foreign TVET institutions to broaden student skills.
And the people of Wa West are so grateful to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama, for fulfilling a 2020 campaign promise by providing a second cycle institution to the eastern corridor of the Wa West constituency. And that happens to be a technical vocational educational training institute. I went to Morocco and I visited one of their skills and trade development centers. And I was amazed at the rate at which the Moroccans are shifting away from just pure academics. Wa West will soon become an example. And I'm quite convinced that this particular institute, where it is developed and commissioned, We will have a relationship with one of the centers in Morocco, and we have exchange programs. This is likely, in the very near future, become one of the institutions with a very progressive outlook.
Chief of GA, Natungban Tuborata, welcomed the project through a statement read by Namumun Latif, but flagged lingering challenges, developing roads, inadequate classrooms, and a lack of teaching aids.
We also witnessed and we are aware that there is a feeder road project that is planned between Janebo through to Balaboy to Samambo, and this will also include a bridge over the Balaboy River. We appreciate the MP for that planned program, and we hope to see the government complete it soon.
Consultants A&Q's Consortium Limited also outlined the full scope. 7 facilities, including a dormitory, administration block, home economic center, 18-unit classroom block, workshop, teachers' quarters, and a dining hall and a kitchen. Each will be handled by a different contractor with A&Q's overseeing delivery. Huawei's District Chief Executive Richard Wulu emphasized that the rollout marks one of the largest coordinated infrastructure pushes in the district this year. For many in the West, it is a long-awaited step towards keeping skills and opportunities closer to home. Reporting for Dwayne News, Rafik Salam, GA.
Let's do some business stories. The Ghana Revenue Authority has secured a partnership deal with selected financial institutions to provide short-term credit facilities for importers who wash cash flow constraints in clearing goods at the port. The Commissioner General of the GRA, Anthony Kwesi Sapon, says the move is aimed at reducing delays and demurrage costs that drive up the cost of doing business. He disclosed this during a stakeholder engagement with the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Accra.
One of the things we have come out as GRA is working with financial institutions, which is banks and non-bank financial institutions, and doing arrangements such that when importers bring their goods into the country, and for one reason or the other, they cannot pay their duty, it should not lead to losing the goods. The financial institution will provide a credit or a loan to the business from 3 months to 1 year. They will use that loan to pay the duty. They will immediately have access to their goods. They will sell it. And what we are asking for business is that it's a win-win for all. When you take such a facility, you are disciplined and you're focused. When you sell, you pay back the loan so that next time when you are bringing the goods, you can access the facility.
Well, that's it for business. That's it for AM News. But for more news, I know a place. I highly recommend you log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Denisia Pomaije. Up next is sports. Enjoy the rest of the show. Have a lovely Wednesday.
You did that.
From farm to plate, do you really know what you're eating? Any glitch in the circuit of the food chain can change the price and size of what you eat. Technology has changed the face of farming, but how is Ghana plugging in? Join Jesse Aram Agbakpo, Emmanuel Bright Kweku on the food chain as they project startups in the agri sector, highlight the gains and plight of industry players while engaging with experts for more insights in agri-related issues. Food chain, everything agriculture and more, as during the Joy Business Report every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Joy FM and every Saturday at 6 p.m. on News Channel, with a repeat on Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m.
We bring you sports now on the AM show here with me, Muftahu Nabila Abla. We are just 29 days to the start of the FIFA World Cup. And if you haven't had a conversation with Latina about getting a booth to display your business at the FIFA World Cup, you need to do so right now, because Ghana exports about $3 to $4 billion of non-traditional goods and services annually to the USA. The 2026 FIFA World Cup match between Ghana and England would be in Boston, and so would the Made in Ghana Expo on the 22nd and 23rd of June 2026 at the Envision Hotel in Boston. The Tina Travel and Tours, in partnership with the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, they are inviting corporate Ghana and businesses, institutions such as manufacturers, entrepreneurs, artisans, food and beverage processors, fashion designers, beauty and cosmetics, as well as pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, real estate, banking and finance, and building and construction, and many more, to leverage Ghana's World Cup moment and connect with international buyers, distributors and investors in Boston, where traveling fans from all over the world will converge in Boston, the city with the strongest Ghanaian diaspora presence. This expo will showcase Ghana's most powerful commercial business exhibition and business-to-business network with U.S. companies. Register now, a call to reserve a booth and enjoy massive global visibility and clinch your share in the huge U.S. export market. Call Latina on 0244-260-789 or come to Latina Travel inside Alisa Hotels Northridge. This 2026 FIFA World Cup Made in Ghana Expo is powered by Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness and Industry. Now, let's take you to the Legon Stadium, where first day of the African Athletics Senior Championships happened. Ghana sprinters Joseph Paul Amwa, Edwin Gadai, and Brashis Samino all made it to the semi-final rather, of the men's 100 meters. My colleague Dana Cranton was there and has details in this report.
So day one of the Africa Athletics Championship concluded here today at the University of Ghana Stadium in Legon. In the men's 100 meters, Ghana has all three competitors through to the semi-final, which is happening on Wednesday. Joseph Paul Amwa, the team captain, he finished second in his heat through to the semi-final. So did Abdul Rashid Samino, the defending champion and national record holder. He's also through. And then Edwin Gadai also finished second in his heat, and he's also through to Wednesday's semi-final. So we are waiting to see if Ghana hopefully can progress all three runners through to the final on Wednesday evening. In the women's 100-meter hurdles, the star of the show, the one who most people came to see, world record holder in the event, Toby Amuson of Nigeria, she cruised to victory in her heat, dominating that event. And also home cheers for Britain Yvonne of Ghana. She also dominated her heat and ended up winning that heat. So both are through to the semi-finals tomorrow of the women's 100 meters, and we'll wait to see if they can make it through to the final. In the men's 800 meters, Alex Amponsa was a little bit disappointed. Now the top two were to progress to the final. He finished third in his heat, and he'll have to wait till tomorrow to see whether his time is enough to send him through to tomorrow's final.
And Alex Amanguasi did make the final after the results were announced. He had one of the fastest times in the two heats that took place on Monday. Let's hear from Joseph Paul Amwa, who has been speaking. He says that the ultimate goal for him is to make the podium in the 100 meters.
We're going to take it heat by heat. This was the first round. We got the semi-finals later on, so I just wanted to make sure I get top two and then come back in the semi-finals, try to make the finals and possibly get on the podium.
What message you have for Ghanaians?
We're here to give our best, and we hope our best will be good enough for some medals here.
Joe, you seem to be very tough championships last week. How's the body feeling?
I feel good. We train for moments like this, you know. So it doesn't matter if we have like 10 races in a week. We train for stuff like that. So
can you tell us about the atmosphere?
It's wonderful. I'm sure it's pretty early and people are now coming from work, so we're not worried about that. We just want to go out there and execute our races.
Tell us about the execution. What's really the cleanest? What happened?
I didn't get the start that I wanted, but I'll definitely try to do better in the semi-finals.
Let's hear from World Athletics President Sebastian Coe. He's been speaking. He says that the target of Ghana's relay team is to make the final and possibly have a podium finish in the World Athletics Championships that will be happening in Beijing 2027?
That has to be the ambition. That has to be the ambition. You know, when an athlete starts out in their career, they may start competing for their school. Then they compete maybe for their town or their city. Then they compete for the region. Then they hopefully compete for, as a junior, for their country. And then they get into the national team. So it's always a step. And when you start dreaming as an athlete about where you might end up, the big dream is going to a World Championships and or an Olympic Games. And if you can get there and you can get through the first round, the second round, the third round into the final, and you can get into a final, then the next ambition has to be to come home with a medal. So it should be, and that's what your coaches will be working towards. And that's why the identification of young talent, so that you spot them in the schools and in their early years and in the clubs, that you can then, with your programs and your coaching, which is critical, you can help them through. So yes, of course, if you can make a final, then the ambition has to be to go home with a medal.
Let's hear from South Africa's Aiden Sumate. He's been speaking about how Ghana has been treating athletes poorly at the Games Village. According to him, even athletes are struggling for food because if you want either 2 ladders or 1 more meat in your food, the caterers will deny you that.
I expected a lot when we got here. I expected a hotel at least, you know, or anything, you know. But when we got in the rooms, the beds were leather. We got sheets, we got a pillow, but no blanket. The aircon, we don't have an aircon remote. We have to request at the reception for aircon remote. You're not allowed to keep your aircon remote. You set it and you give it back. There were no toilet paper. We had to go ask for toilet paper. There's no warm water. The water is one temperature. There's no, the tap water doesn't work. Some of our rooms, guys in our rooms, water doesn't work in their room. What else? Oh, and then the eating, like the eating hall. We go there, we ask for food, they fight with us. We're not allowed to take more than 1 chicken bone. And I asked them, okay, listen, we are athletes, we need to eat, we need to hydrate, you know, we need to eat. And we asked them and they said, no, go. And then you're not allowed to take chicken and fish. You're only allowed to take a chicken or you're only allowed to take fish. And then I fight with them, like, listen, I need to eat. And then they, okay, I'll give you at least 2. So they just give me 2 chickens. And then in the morning, they give me a half an egg or 1 egg. That's
half
it.
An egg?
Half an egg or half an egg or 1 egg. That's it. You're not allowed to get any more eggs. I am home. I'm home. I'm eating 20 eggs in the morning. 20 eggs on its own in the bulk. Off season now, in season now, I eat like 8 or 9 eggs. I'm only allowed 1 egg. And then when I was sleeping, I had no blanket. My whole roommates, all of us had no blankets. They said we have to bring our own blankets. So I mean, for all African Games champ, putting us in a hostel without blankets, without food, with warm water, we're not allowed to. We're not getting cold water. There's no fridges, nothing. I expected a lot more. I love Ghana. Ghana is amazing. I'm going to explore it now the next week. Me and my buddy, we're finished now, so we're going to explore it for the next week. But the staying conditions wasn't great, eh?
Hopefully, the local organizing committee will be able to get everything right from day 2, heading all the way up to the final. That will be happening on Saturday. Now, let me take you to Ghana Commercial Bank. They have donated 5 million Ghana cedis to Ghana's Black Stars ahead of the FIFA World Cup.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. 5 million Ghana cedis from GCB Bank.
The announcement was made during a brief ceremony at the bank's headquarters in Accra on Tuesday, highlighting the institution's continued support for national sports development and unifying the role of football. Managing Director of GCB Bank, Farihan Al-Hassan, emphasized football's unique ability to inspire and unite Ghanaians, describing the World Cup as the world's biggest sporting event and stressing the need for strong support for the national teams.
We know how Ghanaians are passionate about sports and football in particular. We know what football can do for this country. It unites us, it inspires us, and it's that single sport that can bring Ghanaians together. The World Cup is the world's biggest sports event. And so when you have biggest meeting, something big must happen. So this morning is for the bank to just give our token to the Minister of Sports and Recreation to let him know that we are with him as he leads this charge for all Ghanaians.
The bank's independent non-executive director and board chairman, Professor Joshua Alabi, described the donation as a strategic investment in national pride, youth development, and Ghana's global image.
You know, when your team is playing for 90 minutes, we are marketing our country for 90 minutes free of charge. And it is this marketing that attracts tourists to search for a place called Ghana. The Black Stars represents more than a football team. They symbolize the hope, resilience, and fighting spirit of the Ghanaian people. We are confident that this support will contribute meaningfully towards adequate preparation, player welfare, logistics, and the overall success of the national team.
Minister for Sports and Recreation Kofi-Addo commended GCB Bank for its commitment to sports development, describing the 5 million Ghana cedis donation as one of the largest contributions from a financial institution to Ghanaian sports in recent times.
We have received support from various financial institutions, but this, I must say, is the biggest. So the MD was right when he said we are going to the biggest platform, and when the biggest meet a great team that is going to the biggest platform, the donation must add and multiply, and that is exactly what you have done. We say thank you. On behalf, and this is not the only support GCB Bank has given for sports development. Let me use this opportunity to thank you for the great training that you gave to President Mohammed's greatest initiative for sport, that is the establishment of the Ghana Sports Fund.
Up next is a newspaper review.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabedim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number one, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Eko becho ake wobu noni wasumo be kume ejon shikenisa koni lahi sani akaba. Heba moje noni jiji oda ne eji tuebo alo tuefe mu kokobo o fe ni bibi je jale pena
lahi afaba fujo shishinke jomino ake makwemi hino jodwan.
Good Conduct, Great Life is brought to you by
Indomie.
Tastes great.
More Kivo inside. Kivo Gari Soaking Mix. Taste of Ghana.
Across Ghana, in communities big and small, ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. This is the Joy News Impact Makers Awards 2026, celebrating those who are changing lives, shaping futures, and building hope. From Bimbila in the northern region, Faith Jakpasu is transforming classrooms through innovation, inclusive learning, and life-changing initiatives for students, teachers, and vulnerable communities. From Aflao in the Volta region, Felix Akakpo is building schools, supporting students, and investing in the future of an entire community. In health, from Winneba in the central region, Amos Ando is turning his personal battle with sickle cell into a national movement for awareness, prevention, and policy change. From Nkwanta in the Oti region, Bless Lantam is delivering life-changing healthcare to hard-to-reach communities, even in the face of conflict. From Insawame Dwejri in the eastern region, Antonio Say is restoring mobility, dignity, and opportunity through prosthetics and outreach across Ghana. From Adenta in the Greater Accra region, Valerie Ajatia is empowering amputees with hope, rehabilitation, and the courage to rebuild their lives. From Anyanui and Noga in the Volta region, Reverend Christian Valeto is rescuing, treating, and reintegrating neglected mental health patients back into society. From Akuse in the eastern region, Alberta Aite is mentoring, educating, and empowering over 1,000 girls to dream beyond limitations. From Singabreku in the central region, Isabella Akwabwa fighting period poverty and equipping women and girls with skills for independence. In Wash, from Sirigu in the Upper East region, Dr. Anthony Akunzele is improving livelihoods through clean water, education, and economic opportunities for women. From Akache in the Volta region, Senyor Bomita is transforming communities through schools, clean water, healthcare access, and youth empowerment. And for the Corporate Partner Award from the Cape Coast Youth Development Association is empowering thousands of young people through education, skills training, and community development. These are not just finalists. These are change makers. They are nation builders. They are Ghana's true heroes. Joy News Impact Makers Awards, celebrating ordinary people making extraordinary impacts. Who takes this home?
The 2026 Joy News Impact Makers Awards is brought to you by Ghana CEO Summit, a decade of leadership impact. Labadi Beach Hotel, Ayuda, Ghana's #1 services app. Abakun, Services Bebre, New Crystal Hospital, growing in good health. Sulas Enterprise, where quality meets affordability. Water Aid Ghana, change starts with water. Ghana Chamber of Mines.
Along parts of Ghana's coastline, the battle against the sea is no longer a future threat. As waves move closer to homes and businesses, property owners are spending heavily on private sea defense measures, fearing they could eventually lose everything to the sea. At Kolegono in Accra, concrete barriers now stand between hotels and the sea, while sandbags support weakened foundations where erosion has gradually eaten away the land beneath. A hotelier who spoke on condition of anonymity says the current waves have become increasingly dangerous.
The current waves, I think the global warming is having a telling on the sea. It is very dangerous. Very, very, the sea is very powerful. The sea, it was a month ago. It just rushed upstream and nearly took some people away.
Further along the coast at the Atis Alliance Gallery, management has spent heavily on protective measures to keep the sea from moving further inland. Huge rocks now line sections of the shore, forming a barrier between the waves and the buildings behind them. Oscar Neil Odoi Glover is a manager at the Atis Alliance Gallery.
16 years ago, before the building was built, my old man saw it wise that we needed sea defense. In fact, some of us saw it as a waste of fund, because just behind you, you could see how we've packed the marble stones, the very big one, to hold the sea waves. Just behind me also, there is other ones. Beneath us also, there is a lot of marble stones, which we have built on it. Yes. These marble stones are able to hold the waves so that at least we can protect the sea from, at the long last, picking all the building into the sea.
But even with the protective measures, the sea continues to creep closer. For the past 16 years, the shoreline around the gallery has changed dramatically.
The distance now from the sea to the streets, formerly it was double that distance. So with that, you can tell how close the sea is for the past 60 years. Now, with us here, the sea is doing a lot of damage.
One structure at the gallery site has already deteriorated so badly that management says it may eventually have to be demolished.
There's a lot of salt in the wind. The salt eats into the wall. So gradually, you see that the blocks are getting into powder form, and then they are falling off. And so definitely, there's nothing you can do about the building but than to demolish the whole thing.
Business owners say they are spending thousands of cedis protecting properties that remain vulnerable every day.
The cause and effect is very dangerous. We put some edges. Some people too have put rocks. This is actually helping, to push the sea backwards.
Residents and business owners blame illegal sand winning for worsening the erosion. Even as some people try to protect the shoreline, others continue removing sand from the beach.
Human activities is also helping the sea to come closer to us, especially the winding of the sand. People come collect sand, collect stones from the shore. All these things enable the sea to move closer to us.
It's creating some valley. And so it's pushing the sea towards the coast, which is very dangerous. So education must go on and educate the perpetrators of this heinous crime.
As private businesses struggle to defend themselves, there are growing calls for a larger state-led sea defense systems across vulnerable coastal communities.
There are areas that the government needs to come and help as far as the sea defense is concerned. If you can remember, we've done sea defense as far as from the Volta. There's a need for the government to come into our aid so that at least those who can protect themselves from the sea wave, the government can do something about it to help us, not only us, but to help the country as a whole.
The walls are getting higher. More rocks are being piled along the shore, but with every crashing wave, the sea keeps moving closer, threatening homes, businesses, an entire stretch of Ghana's coastline. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Accra.
Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Hey! Is your tech holding you back? Feeling lost in the maze of outdated gadgets? Relax. Come with me to Configure.
See magic. Now I've been international fashion designer. Come on. No more pencil than talk matter beer. Coffee Ghana. Class in
Oh, number one.
Ghana, we don't just sell electronics, we transform your life. From office to home appliances and more, we have everything you need to step into the future.
Comfy Ghana, class in Kwa. Comfy Ghana, number one.
Changing, so should you. If you're dreaming, don't be afraid. And in the valleys, keep your head up high. Dare to dream with Puma drinks. Yeah, believe it, you can achieve. Oh yeah, clap your hands for the whole new vibe. Make we set the oh yeah, come alive. Let me hear you.
Puma Drinks, a whole new vibe. Another quality product from Casa Precon.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, Send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African.
Across Ghana, in communities big and small, ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. This is the Joy News Impact Makers Awards 2026, celebrating those who are changing lives, shaping futures, and building hope. From Bimbila in the northern region, Faith Jakpasu is transforming classrooms through innovation, inclusive learning, and life-changing initiatives for students, teachers, and vulnerable communities. From Aflao in the Volta region, Felix Akakbo is building schools, supporting students, and investing in the future of an entire community. In health, from Winneba in the central region, Amos Ando is turning his personal battle with sickle cell into a national movement for awareness, prevention, and policy change. From Nkwanta in the Oti region, Bless Lantam is delivering life-changing healthcare to hard-to-reach communities, even in the face of conflict. From Insawamed Wejiri in the eastern region, Antonio Say is restoring mobility, dignity, and opportunity through prosthetics and outreach across Ghana. From Adenta in the Greater Accra region, Valerie Ajatia is empowering amputees with hope, rehabilitation, and the courage to rebuild their lives. From Anyanui and Loga in the Volta region, Reverend Christian Valeto is rescuing, treating, and reintegrating neglected mental health patients back into society. From Akuse in the eastern region, Alberta Aite is mentoring, educating, and empowering over 1,000 girls to dream beyond limitations. From Senya Breku in the central region, Isabella Akwabwa fighting period poverty and equipping women and girls with skills for independence. In Wash, from Sirigu in the Upper East region, Dr. Anthony Akunzele is improving livelihoods through clean water, education, and economic opportunities for women. From Akache in the Volta region, Senyor Bomita is transforming communities through schools, clean water, healthcare access, and youth empowerment. And for the Corporate Partner Award from the Cape Coast Youth Development Association is empowering thousands of young people through education, skills training, and community development. These are not just finalists. These are change makers. They are nation builders. They are Ghana's true heroes. Joy News Impact Makers Awards, celebrating ordinary people making extraordinary impact.
This week on The Sages.
Under Nkrumah, it was sort of state monopoly, and development was state-driven. The others came and it was private sector. But if you look at the situation today, what have we really got from the private sector?
Do you feel that something changed along the line after his overthrow?
Political party A comes and starts a number of projects. It is kick-out of power, and political party B comes and ignores all that and starts its own.
Because of political credit.
Political credit. But if you were sensible, you will finish what has been left.
The Sages, showing this Saturday at 12 p.m. on the Joy News channel.
Ghana Police Service is facing potential legal action from artist Ibrahim Muhammad.
He and his team were attacked by members of the Black Maria.
It's all over Ghana that a diplomat has been beaten to pulp.
Ibrahim Muhammad is a peaceful citizen. If you do this to him, what will happen to some of us?
That DSP Jalil is a dangerous human being.
He's a controversial person within the police service, and every policeman can attest to that.
One of the police officers saw me and I could see a sense of caution and fear on his face. He went to them and he said, do you know who that is? I said, that's Ibrahim, the guy that the president gave the diplomatic status. And then he said, oh, and so what? These people, they really don't care about any of these things. They are just power drunk.
the graph that you have for me, do all these things for me, and the reward comes back to you. Okay?
The first thing was a punch in my face, and one of my teeth got broken immediately.
I was really assaulted by the police today. You can see how they broke my tooth.
There's data we collected from 2016 till now. There's been 9 police brutalities. Guess what? Not even one person has been convicted. Do you believe you're going to get justice?
My whole adult life, I never cried before. When this thing happened, that was the next time I cried in my life. Why?
When news breaks, there's no pause button. With fast-moving, developing stories, decisions are unfolding, and the nation is watching. This is News Desk, with a very fast and precise tone and attitude. 1 hour. The biggest stories, the clearest facts, politics, governance, security, the economy, not rumors, not speculation, but verified news.
It's clear that the people wanted to change the will of the people of Pandai, but the Supreme Court has affirmed the will of the people.
Backed by context, sharpened by analysis. Here, headlines are not enough. We go beyond the what to ask the why and the what next. Decision makers are questioned, policies are examined, and the facts are allowed to speak without fear, without favor. This is News Desk on Joy News. Independent, fearless, credible.
Imagine a family without a home. Imagine a song without a voice. Imagine a church without prayers. Imagine a government without citizens. Imagine democracy without journalists. Imagine a world without the media. Life is full of issues and stories about people, communities, and governments. Stories that have to be told by well-trained journalists. That's why you can't imagine news without Joy News.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. This is the AM show. We shall start with a news review, but I'll run you through quickly the newspapers. Let's start with the Daily Graphic this morning. Our biggest story, rubber processors demand export ban. And the details of this story is on page 3. Local rubber processors are seeking an outright ban on raw rubber export to save the processing factories from total collapse. Details of that story is on page 3. And as well, NPA pilots 24-hour economy in petroleum downstream. Story is on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. As well, 44 busted over BEC exam center infractions. That story as well is on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. And as well, GCB Bank supports World Cup bid with 5 million Ghana cedis. Story is on page 16 of the Daily Graphic as well. I will continue with the Daily Guide this morning. And Daily Guide is reporting on a policeman caged over 38,000 Ghana cedis Momo vendor robbery. Story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide. And Aguna West organizer released is a story we shall be discussing here on the show. And page 3 is giving us details of that story as MPP has been slamming the government. And also 300 people seek voluntary repatriation from South Africa. Story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide this morning. And my duties at Edu Boahene's company, not criminal. Story, there's an update on the Edu Boahene matter. And the story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide this morning. Akosua trader killed, suspect as well arrested. Story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide. The new finder this morning, tackle inflation drivers through direct intervention. Analysts as well have been advising government. And government raises 120.2 billion Ghana cedis from treasury bills in 2026. Details of that is on page 9 of the new finder. And banks rebound as capital adequacy hits 17.5%. That's the new finder. And the Ghanaian publisher as well. An update on the Edu Boahene trial. ASL not involved in criminal activities. State witness. Stories on page 3. And our leader, Ashanti NPP with humility, Koka, as well as been campaigning for his bid as the Ashanti regional chairman. Story as well as on page 3. And Gbande dares Raymond Archer publish Yamin Galamsey report. Story is on page 2. And government borrows 120 billion in 4 months. Story is on page 6. And time for African solution. Just one has been speaking at the African Forward Summit. Story is on page 7 of the Ghanaian publisher. And then the Accra Times, Help Save Lives, Akufo-Addo Poku appeals to corporate bodies and individuals to donate the cause the Mahama cares. And Governor Isiama urges Africa stakeholders to strengthen digital finance. Story is on page 5 of the Accra Times. And maybe finally, the overseer stop inciting party supporters against government appointees. Erika J. cautions Gbande. Story is on page 3, and that's the NIP boss. As well, the story on how some Ghanaians living in South Africa seeking voluntary repatriation is on page 3 of the overseer. So those are your headlines, or our headlines, of the newspapers. We shall dive straight to the big matters arising. And you know that yesterday was quite a busy one. But let's start with this new. Well, we'll try and talk about the xenophobic attack. We'll try and talk about the rising hostel cost as well. But let's start with news coming in on the Asante Achim MP, who is allegedly in custody. Let me just bring you details of that. This morning, we are joined by Amanda Akokwa Clinton, Head of Chambers Clinton Consultancy. We're also joined by Kofi Kapito, CEO Consumer Protection Agency. A little later, other panelists will join us. Bernard Bediakubedu is MP for Akwetia, and Fifi Boafo is former Director of Public Affairs, at Cocoa Board. Now, Ghanaian MP arrested over $32 million fraud, and stories just been coming. You must have as well seen Parliament reacting to that matter, confirming the detention, but it's not giving particular details. But Ghana Web has been giving us some updates. Says the sources within Ghana's law enforcement agencies have confirmed to Ghana Web the reported arrest of the Member of Parliament of Asante Akim North, Ohene Kwame Frimpong, by authorities in the Netherlands in connection with an investigation linked to the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, which you know as FBI. According to sources familiar with the matter, the MP has been investigated over alleged financial crimes, including money laundering and suspected romance scams involving an estimated amount of 32 million USD. And this is how Ghana Web reported the story. We have the story as well on My Joy Online, except that we haven't given the details of the detention. But good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Akufi. How are you?
I'm doing great.
It's good to have you in studio.
It's good to be here.
Okay. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Okay, so I'm certain that you've seen this news about
this paper, and let me just the first one.
The first one, the overseer. Okay.
There's an article on it that to me is on point. So this man talking, the support. He's not even supporting party members to act against appointees.
He's not. Yes, he's actually cautioning.
Appointees, some of them needs to be haunted. They are rude. They don't respect. Even if you write letters, common acknowledgement, zero. So I'm saying I'm going to do a press conference and tell the president that some of the appointees, either they change or he should ship them. You are there because of the people of Ghana.
Yeah.
And I get angry when an appointee sees you and he behaves as if he's bigger than you. We've seen it. We've seen it.
Well, you've had a personal experience.
No, yes, it's still going on. And I'm going to mention the minister's name very, very soon. Because you know why? He is a minister who's supposed to see an agency under him who is not doing the right thing. Rather, he's behaving as if he's in cahoot with that agency under him. I'm talking about the local government minister. There is an instance in my neighborhood where somebody, since NDC 1, Honorable Collins Dada, was the local government minister. Somebody is trying to build a house on the waterway. From that time, I managed to get Mr. Collins Dada to intervene. The authorities could not even build it. MPP came in. Just before they left, I met the local government minister.
Ahmed, let me check.
Kosa.
The previous one?
Yeah, the previous one. He actually told the assembly to come and demolish the structures. And it was demolished.
Yes.
Guess what? Just last year, the same assembly who came to demolish it gave the guy the right of way to build.
So, but should we start on the bigger national issues and then go down to the lower?
Somebody arrested for drug is suspected. It's even suspected. It's not even confirmed.
Oh,
so it's not a big.
The nation is talking about it.
And you've actually said you will have a press conference.
Do you know what the nation is talking about? That even the regional minister of Accra is in the headline about the same doing the right thing.
About her comments?
No, about her actually demolishing people who have built at unauthorized areas.
Yes. Okay. Because you've already promised that you'd address a press conference, we'll maybe pick it up from there and then get to also know.
Don't respect me. Give you opportunity to come and work for us, and then you behave as if you are bigger than us.
Okay. Amanda, so there are a lot of law students that will be watching us this morning and are probably confused in their minds in terms of jurisdiction and conflicts of laws, especially when a member of parliament has been arrested and in another jurisdiction. The outlook of it, first of all, what's your initial reaction to this? And I acknowledge that Parliament is just giving an indication that it's come to the attention. The details of it we're yet to know, but we can work with what we have now.
I'd like to start by just concurring that it is true, it is an allegation that hasn't been proven in a court of law. But first and foremost, the fact that he was arrested abroad is quite significant because it means it's an internationally coordinated investigation. Secondly, it also points to the fact that, do we as a country have the will to pursue politically exposed people and people within government? And if we don't, this is exactly the sort of pushback we get in terms of when international agencies are investigating, they may not share all that information with national security, Yoko, and all the relevant people that they should have shared it with, in view of the fact that that information might be compromised and they won't get their hands on that person. So ordinarily, they won't share the information, the person travels, and then the person is picked up. The allegation is money laundering and romance scam. So when a lawyer, particularly I'm an international lawyer as well, sees alleged charges like this, it might not necessarily mean he's directly involved in romance scams. But when you see money laundering, you automatically see things like placement, layering, and integration. So anybody who is part of that chain to place dirty money in a sophisticated system where it's complex, it's a transaction, it's made to make the money clean because they integrate that money into the system, anybody who forms part of that network is considered an alleged money launderer. So although he was allegedly, detained in August 2025, and he denied that outrightly and said the UK did not detain him over similar money laundering charges, etc., it will be interesting to see how this develops because, again, it absolutely sends a signal to this government and to any government that will take place that international law enforcement perhaps did not trust the Ghanaian government enough to share information that they should have. Had they trusted them, we would have seen something like an extradition. But when you have somebody called a politically exposed person or someone in government, international law enforcement will say, well, if I share this with national security, if I share this with Yoko, if I share this with different departments, will that information be compromised? Will it spoil our investigation? And will it mean the person is put on notice so they don't get on a flight? And so what it indicates to me is that he wasn't put on notice per se. He got
Ordinarily, will they have put him on notice?
No, if our agencies were put on notice, quite sadly, what tends to happen is if our agencies were put on notice, some are government appointees and some would just share that information and it would filter down to a politically exposed person or someone in government. That is the fear from international agencies. And the fact that they didn't work in collaboration with the Ghanaian government in order to naturally expose this. So Ghana, because what I'm trying to say is, the fact that they let him get on a flight, having gathered all that information, instead of sharing it with the Ghanaian government, for the Ghanaian government to know whether they agreed, whether they were going to extradite him, etc., it says a lot about the ongoing conversation about can any government handle politically exposed people and people in government effectively. And if they don't handle them effectively, this is the international embarrassment we will face. Because as a lawyer myself, we're privy to certain conversations, for instance, where, we could be having interactions with certain agencies and national security, etc. But there are certain people who you cannot touch. And what tends to happen after that situation is that these people become very bold. Whatever crime or alleged crime they're committing, they duplicate it in terms of, well, if no one's going to touch me, I'm just going to go large scale on this. And then they are shielded in a way. You see, so I've looked at it from a different perspective where even if agencies were given this information, government does not have the will to go after them. And so that person, in essence, becomes more sophisticated, more layered, places more money in the system, internationally and locally, layers that money, and integrates it so it's money laundering. And so it was very interesting when I saw that headline because in practice, we deal with this where we know that there are certain people you can't touch in this country. And if you do, they'll come against you, they'll come against the people who accuse them, and government will protect them. And so this is also a sign to government that this is the knock-on effect. if you do not deal with this in your own territory, we will face international embarrassment in terms of someone having to be picked up at Schiphol. Then, if this is a joint operation, he will be extradited because there's no way the Netherlands would pick him up without sufficient information.
Some hard information.
And secondly, Ghana has had a treaty, an extradition treaty with the US, even dating back to, I think, 1935. You know, before we were independent even, you know what I mean? They've had this long-standing treaty which they put in effect. But these treaties, in a way, in practice, don't tend to apply to politically exposed people, you know, when it's your own government, and to people in government. But saying that, he was an independent, but I do think he
definitely would do business with some political party. But Fifi, have you seen that news? Have you seen the headline? He's an independent candidate, all right. And we're talking about this because if you recall in 2005 when the Nkranza North constituency MP, Eric, I think, Amwating, you'd realize that he traveled a long journey, but still he had to face the consequences. And I dare say that internationally, they really will not come at you if they do not have sufficient evidence. He might get off the hook, but what will that mean generally, especially the immunity some of our politicians face in this country or enjoy in this country?
All right. Thank you very much. And good morning to viewers. Good morning to fellow panelists. Let me start by saying that I have lost my appetite for negative stories a few years after I left the media space. Yes. My days in the media, I was always excited when there was a scandal or when there was a negative story.
Why?
Yeah. It was beautiful because it excites radio, it excites the media, it improves ratings. Oh yeah. I didn't want to put it, but yeah, it gives you ratings. But I think with time, I've also realized that sometimes we are quick to condemn people, we are quick to paint people black. And it is important that sometimes we give people the opportunity. And in our jurisprudence in this country, the person is presumed innocent until the person has been proven guilty. So the person has been arrested. We do not even have the full facts. Of course, there are some speculations as to what the person may have done. It will be important for us to get the full details of what has happened. And then based on that, we can say that, whether the person was guilty of the offense or the person was not guilty of the offense. But apart from that, it is also established that what has happened is an embarrassment to us as a country. The whole country, we've voted for 275 out of us. 276, with SAL. 276, and these are people who do not have, they have a special title. Honorable is here, is an honorable man. So the standard expected of them is different from the standard expected of us who are not considered honorable men. So there are things you also do not expect that honorable men will get themselves involved in. So when a story like this comes up, obviously it will be a matter of a deep national concern and interest for people to start asking questions. What has happened? What led to that? Amanda was talking about the fact that at this point, there's a certain doubt that has been created about our security agencies. Because we've had musicians, we have private persons, young people, who, because the FBI had a certain suspicion of, they liaised with our security agencies. The people were picked up here.
Sure.
Why is it in the case of Ohene Frimpong? He sits with the majority in parliament, though. Why is that in his case? Mm-hmm. The FBI did not collaborate with our security agencies to pick him up for questioning.
But usually, from what I've seen historically, when there's a collaboration, it will mean that the accused person or the suspect would be in the jurisdiction. This is why they will collaborate. But this person It's outside of the jurisdiction.
No, but it's more than a year-long investigation.
I agree.
Ordinarily.
I agree.
Ordinarily, it's more than a year-long.
Yeah, following this has been over a year. Yeah.
It would not be a case that whatever crime happened a day before he traveled.
No.
So, were our security agencies in the known? Were they informed? Were they collaborating? I think that if that is the impression that has been created, it will be important for our security agencies to work to repair that perception because it will not be good for us. But it's also important to note that, yes, we have a treaty that allows our citizens, including even a member of parliament, to be pulled to the United States to go and answer questions. It's not going to be the first time in recent history. We've had a number of our young people who have been pulled to go and answer questions. Has there been a case in the reverse? Or is it a case that they don't commit any crimes? The crimes are always committed by our people, and for that reason, our people must go and answer. I think that if we also go into an agreement, I remember a lecturer of mine used to say that we are always quick as a country to rectify treaties. The moment they bring it, our government and our parliament will go and then rectify it. And then, yes, it's an international law, it applies. But you ask yourself, how beneficial is that arrangement to us as a people?
Okay.
I think that we must also sometimes not be too quick. Recently, something that good government did, I find it commendable, where I understand because of a certain grant we are going to be given, our health data was supposed to be given to the Americans.
Yeah.
Really?
That was instead of being a bilateral, it was a unilateral decision, and then the government decided that
we must, as a people, also give a certain respect to ourselves by making sure that we do not succumb to everything that is thrown at us. But like I said, I've lost my appetite for scandals.
If you didn't have appetite for and this is you not having appetite for it. If you had appetite, then really it would be a buffet.
My days in the media, days where I have scandals, I don't sleep.
Really?
I look forward to the next morning.
I can confirm to you that I had a good sleep. Well, Honorable, I hope you are well. So I understand that this independent member of parliament does business with the majority. How does this arrest and everything comes to you individually as a member of parliament and even to the party?
So
are you also surprised that it's been quite over a year since this investigation and his arrest was initiated outside of the jurisdiction?
Very surprised. Very surprised. Good morning to you and viewers out there and my distinguished colleagues on the table. You see, I associate largely with the submissions made by Fifi on this. You see, as a country, we should be careful. The way we are so quick to throw our own out there is an arrest. Anybody could be arrested for any reason in the meantime. But that is why some of the comments my senior Amanda made, I thought that.
Yeah, Honorable, whilst you're sitting up, you speak up for me.
Okay. It's not a good day for MPs.
Okay.
All of us. This is not something we... And so you can understand. It's an arrest. First and foremost, yes, he's an independent candidate, but sits with us, majority in Parliament. I have known him, not for a very long time, but at least I know him quite well. We got this news a few days ago, and I am aware that steps were being taken to actually, because we are not too sure, the information we have is very scanty. And that is even the reason we should be measured in terms of what we say. There are things being thrown out there. It's been a year, they are doing this, they are doing that. But you see, the question I ask is this. Look, he's a member of parliament. He's on a diplomatic passport. He said, obviously...
Is he on a service passport or...
It's a diplomatic passport. We are on diplomatic passport. So I'm surprised. A member of parliament has no... Or the parliament and the security architecture of this country has no knowledge about the dealings of any MP. For the reason we are told that they may not trust our system. And then an MP travels. I'm not too sure whether he traveled on his ordinary passport or that I'm not too sure.
Would it make a difference anyway?
It does. Because with the diplomatic passport, some
courtesies will be extended to you. Okay.
And so, but you see, ideally, the diplomatic passport is expected to be used only on official travels. The ideal. I do not know whether. And so, if indeed it was. That's why I'm careful what I say. Though there are a lot of things I've heard, but I'm careful what I put out there because it's too early for us to. But even in our system, and Senior Amanda is here, and I thought that once before you are arrested, was he even given the right to the services of a lawyer, or you just picked him up because you thought that in your own estimation he had done so much wrong? Because to arrest a member of parliament the way they did, the offense must be very, very grave. And especially without recourse to our authorities. And so for me, I would not want to say much about this.
I think I can understand.
In the meantime, we share in his pain because we are aware he's not happy with this.
Maybe he's just been detained. He's probably enjoying tea.
Even the embarrassment associated with this.
Okay.
I mean, this is not good enough. Yesterday, Parliament had to release
a statement.
Acknowledging the fact that it had come to its notice. And if you read what Parliament actually put out there, it was very, we didn't say much. Parliament didn't have to say much. That it had come to its notice and that it is taking steps to find out from the Hague what actually the issues are.
Okay.
Let's be careful. And Senior Amanda, you see the issue of whether a government is able to handle its own in case of any. I think we are running ahead of ourselves. Let's be careful because we are not too sure what the details actually are. And again, this is a man who has nothing to do with the executive. It's a fact that he has nothing to do with the executive. He's not a minister. I'm not even too sure whether he's a board, whatever. I'm not too sure about that. And so let's be careful. The politically exposed persons and all that. This thing can happen to any one of us.
Let me hear from Uncle Kofi. I see. Amanda, I'll come to you. You may have a few.
My newfound friend, BB. You see, the issue is how we, quote unquote, either Africans or Ghanaians, how we do things. That is why, according to Amanda, that maybe the collaboration was not there. Okay. We all lived in this country. We've seen things happening. I don't look at it as an MP. I look at it as a Ghanaian who has been arrested. Okay? Because outside, now, even if you're not lucky you go through immigration as a Ghanaian, you'll be looked differently. Because if an MP could be doing this, it's another story. Okay. What I'm saying is, Fifi also made a good point by saying that we sign any agreement without looking at it. Because some small carrot will be dangled in front of us, take this, and then we'll do this. We don't even read the fine print, then we sign. Okay. Look, I'll tell you what, Israel and America, they have an agreement that if anybody who is from Israel kills anybody in America and the person managed to run away to America, America cannot bring him back. So if you're a Jewish person and you manage to sneak in and run away and go to Israel, they will never extradite you back to America. You kill somebody. It happened in Maryland. A boy, high school boys, they butchered their classmates.
Then one of them, a Jewish boy, the father managed to get him out of America and go to Israel. The boy is still in Israel because of that treaty. They are protected. So the question is, what treaties, even in terms of our foreign missions?
Isn't it public knowledge that Israel is America's sweetheart?
No. Israel is an independent country. Don't go wrong. Israel is an independent. Isn't Ghana America's sweetheart? Isn't Ghana UK's sweetheart?
We are not being a side chick.
I'm just saying that from history, we were colonized by the Brits. Okay, we had them here, serving as governors and stuff, taking everything that they wanted away. So we had a good relationship with them, whether it was good for us or it was good for them. Even now, the Ashanti Kingdom is fighting with the British Empire in terms of return of their artifacts that they stole. And they remember, was it last year, 2 years ago, there was a whole celebration that some small amount was returned to Messiah Palace. Other countries are fighting vigorously to get their artifacts back. Okay, and it's true. We sometimes, they say if you sell yourself cheap, they will buy you cheap. In any agreement, you should look out for, is it a 50-50 thing, or even if it's 40-60, how does the 40 benefit me?
Okay.
We sign agreements on the diplomatic issue. It's reciprocal. But look at the way even here in Ghana, our citizens are treated by these foreign entities in our country who are our visitors in terms of even visa fees. Visa fees. The British Embassy, do you know how much they charge us? Do you know how much Ghana charge the British people from coming? Now we've gotten this thing that we are giving even passports, Ghanaian passports, for people who are not even Ghanaian. Because we signed a law and agreement that we are giving Ghanaian passports, not one, in droves. Ceremony, maybe 100 of them, we give it to them. Do you know how difficult it is for you to get an American passport in America? Do you know how difficult it is to get a British passport in UK? So obviously, this is what is going to happen. This man, like I said, is an allegation.
Yeah.
It's even possible that he is caught in it just by accident. His name was mentioned. So it's very likely it depends on what role he was in for. But the question is, let us do things, and let us also not do things that will make our foreign counterparts not trust us. Look, do you know how many times that there's, quote unquote, the people who come for cars, Interpol comes and they claim they've come to see stolen cars in Ghana. Do you know how many cars are stolen from America to Russia? Do they go there? Well, Russia is number one place that they steal cars from America to. Southern America. They will even chop the cars and ship them as spare parts. But here, every now and then, they say they've come. Yes, I don't condone stealing or people doing illegal car theft. But the question is, how do we protect our own? In Nigeria, there was a time when they came, they asked them that, do they pay duty? They say yes. You have all the equipment in America. You couldn't stop the car from leaving America. It has come to Nigeria. The man has paid duty. He said what? It's stolen. My friend, go away.
So if I understand, it really depends on the muscle of a country and what goes into a treaty and how you negotiate. You wanted to make an intervention, and whilst you're at it, and this would be just I'll take the last comment on this.
Yes, I think it was a comment about the diplomatic passport. Full diplomatic immunity under the Vienna Convention mainly applies to accredited diplomats posted to embassies or consulates with specific diplomatic status. Therefore, his status perhaps wouldn't be, automatically, he wouldn't enjoy full immunity per se. And also the points everybody's raising about, since this was an internationally coordinated law enforcement operation, without recourse, we can imagine, to our own authorities, I do want to bring home the fact that this would happen because I am also privy to certain conversations with certain security agencies who have built dossiers about people. Literally, I mean, within the last year, no joke, they've built serious dossiers about people, people who are of interest because, you know, it affects my legal work, etc. But nothing can be done about them because they enjoy full immunity. They, and I won't go into too much detail, but the level of immunity they enjoy is next to none, I would say, in this country. And so in reading some of these headlines, these allegations are completely alleged, and money laundering is incredibly sophisticated, that it's true the Honourable MP may, you know, mount a defence to distance himself from certain transactions, because with money laundering, it's placement, layering, and integration. And perhaps he was completely unaware of how some money, you know, so I will definitely give him the benefit of the doubt for that, because it is highly sophisticated. But if an investigation truly went on for at least a year, and if it can be said that no recourse was made to our own authorities, especially national security, YOCO, economic and organized crime, etc., the FBI did not trust them with that information should the investigation become compromised. It is also a signal to this government. This is not about party politics. But if you do not take care of things that your own agencies are notifying you about in your own country, that even I, as a lawyer, am privy to very confidential information. And if I'm privy to that, you are privy to that, and you refuse to act, you do this whole media circus about who this person allegedly is. What tends to happen is that person becomes sophisticated in the ruse. They become larger scale in terms of whatever they were doing. They can now do it with full immunity and be protected. And then they can harvest more money into whatever money laundering scheme. And then when Ghana doesn't, layering, and then when Ghana doesn't deal with it, international agencies are aware, we are completely embarrassed, because we've got an honourable sitting here, and he's very measured with his words and everything, and he's very reflective, because he does know the weight of the position he carries, the fact that it's honourable. Even I cannot be, you know, called honourable, because even though I'm a lawyer, but there's only 236 people in this whole country. 37. 76. Yeah. And so it is something that, with deep reverence, I believe the entire Parliament will be reflecting on this.
I like to think
But as they reflect on it, I would like to say as a lawyer that it is of no surprise to me that something like this could happen.
And because it's alleged, what we will not do is stay on this. So I want us to move to other issues.
I'm very careful.
These are just allegations.
Probably. That's the reason why, because you said some people are untouchable in this country.
Yes.
Probably that's the reason why he was allowed to travel outside.
Absolutely. They wait for you like baits. It's like,
well,
like baits.
Again, what I want to do is fund this or give it oxygen so that it catches fire. So let's go into...
Why are we even getting the alleged charges and all that? Why are we?
No, they aren't charges yet.
No.
We haven't professed charges yet.
Why are we?
We're only discussing... We're
only hearing things.
We're only discussing this because 276 representatives in Parliament, there was a statement by your outfit that's us speaking.
We never made mention of any alleged...
No, but once you have drawn our attention that he's been detained and you're doing something about it, we're not here judging it.
Whatever.
We're not judging it at all. We're not judging it at all, yeah?
I admit that all of us must be careful, but I also think that Honourable must also grant the media the space. Yes, it is not right for the media to put out information that is not accurate, but the media will be interested to know what is happening. They will have sources, and the sources shall definitely give them information.
Definitely.
For me, if the information they are putting out there is wrong, I do not endorse it.
Yeah.
But for a media house, There's a breaking story. You cannot just report on what officials have given you.
I mean, the parliament is speaking about it. Who am I not to talk about it?
Go beyond it.
Let's talk about the... Let's talk about
beyond his detention.
Yeah.
And we are ascribing the reasons for his detention. I'm asking, where did we hear those
sources? Media. The media is supposed to share.
I'm kind of protected not to give the source. But anyway, let's talk about the NPP and the...
I'm laughing because in this country, what ties you, if your party member or affiliation gets into trouble, the opposition will milk it. It happened.
Well,
no, I'm just saying that. So as we are moving forward as Ghanaians, let's move forward as Ghanaians.
Altogether in other issues.
There is nothing. If we are to go into it, we know his background. You do. No. When I politically, that's not the issue here.
So honorable.
Yes, then we accept him. He is a proud member of us.
He sits with you in Parliament. He has said that his business
and we are happy he is with us.
And his business has brought problem.
Okay, honorable.
Are you saying that?
We don't know yet. But we don't know this yet. Okay, so let's talk about something that is quite worrying.
He's doing business.
And honorable, I want to start with you on this one. I want to start. So the NPP yesterday, honorable,
I don't know why you are hearing this thing.
The NPP as well has some concerns on how they say the security apparatus are treating people who want to have freedom of speech at some level. And this is coming at a point where we've made some progress as a country in our press freedom ranking. We're now 4th in Africa. But it looks as though the MPP is believing that the current government is becoming quite notorious for using security apparatus to kind of hound people. Is this something you would agree to? First of all, you will not. Okay, the case in point this morning is the Ghana West organizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, who, as of yesterday, when I spoke with Nana B, said that the night before was picked up. But he also said that they've been looking for him the length and breadth of this country. They couldn't find him. But however, we have reports that he had been released by the Bureau of National Intelligence. Had him. I know that he didn't stay for the 48 hours where he had to be granted bail or anything. They've not talked about any charges yet. They've not talked about bail. But the way he was picked up, the way they're describing it, posting something on social media, what's really the criminality with that?
So, thank you. The records do not show that people are being picked up necessarily because they express their opinions. It is not the case. In fact, I have said that, you see, in a country of laws, things that happen outside the law are things we condemn. If it is within the law, then it is either, if we are not comfortable with the law, it's either we repeal it or whatever we need to do to it. But in the meantime, our criminal code of 1960, this wasn't promulgated by John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency. Neither was it done by His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I think Section 208 talks about false publication being a crime. It still stands in our statute books. Today. It's not been amended. It's not been repealed. And so the police or whoever, investigative agency, goes after people they perceive have crossed the line. This program we do all the time. We come criticize. A lot of people come criticize the government and all that. How many people have been picked up after the program? At least this year, as far as you know. And so if it is out there as though anytime you criticize, anytime you say anything against the government, you are picked up, that surely is not the case. We must also be careful the way we politicize every arrest in this country by virtue of the fact that the person wears a certain political T-shirt or whatever. Because, you see, Otherwise, there will be impunity in the system. Of course, people must be allowed to express their opinion. And people do that. People do that. My brother, we've met on a few occasions. He speaks his mind, but nobody gets to even invite him for anything. But you see, for the NPP, now to come to say, and this is where I have a problem, the sheer hypocrisy. What has changed? Where is the principle? What did Dr. Asenfufro do, the late Dr. Asenfufro, for him to be arrested the way he was? What did Apia Stadium do for him to be arrested the way he was and brought from Kumasi to Accra? Apia Stadium brought to Accra? Yes, check the records. I'm telling you on record. Check before you shake your head. Apia Stadium was arrested in Kumasi and was brought to Accra.
Under which regime?
Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, His Excellency. The human rights lawyer, as we call him. What did this XYZ presenter, Benny, what did he do before he got arrested? Captain Smart, Bobi Ansa. Students who said those things they said against the president were deboardinized and were asked to write their wasi from the house. After the media was outraged, the Ghanaians were outraged, then the president ordered that they be reinstated. Are we saying that that was a grand scheme by the then administration to silence people? I thought that they were using the law. What has changed?
Now, because you're a lawyer and you referenced the law that has not been repealed, you've referenced that law. How does this invitation from the police to Mr. Shamna come to you? Let's see where we situate this. The district police commander wishes to invite you, Mr. Shamna, to assist in ongoing investigation relating to a WhatsApp post you made on a platform as of the time. It would be yesterday, Friday, 24th of April 2026, at about 7:56 a.m. against Honorable MC for Nalerugu Gambaga, Mr. Breche David Bukari. To wit, disgrace MC. Is he even fit to be an MC? If not, Larugu, without any provocation, please, you are kindly requested to report to the district commander to talk peace and assist in investigation on Tuesday, 28th, counting on your cooperation.
Yes.
What will this,
so for me,
come to you?
Yes. If you ask of my candid opinion, this doesn't qualify for an invitation. Get me. This doesn't, in my candid opinion. You don't need to, because you see, one thing about this whole, look, if you are not careful, you give the person a moral victory after, because surely he will be released. Even if you decide to prosecute, you will not succeed. Because the 208 even has, and because you see, beyond proving that the person said it, there should be the tendency of it
constituting a crime.
No, not just the crime. With the, I don't have the crime. Causing fear and panic. Yeah. You see that you need to prove that one, and I do not see where this fits in.
The action has taken place. There has not been any reaction. That
you see, we shouldn't, and that is where I was coming to.
They attempted to prove it. Wouldn't it have been after you have been charged with a crime?
No, but
it says it should cause fear and panic. Honorable, sorry, but they have said this thing already. As we speak, what is the evidence that it has caused any fear or panic?
That's the police duty, right? Let me hear you.
Yes, you see, you don't even wait to see. So you can, but you see, for at least prima facie, before you go to court, there should be some investigations. There should be some. You should have that foresight that you will secure conviction. Usually, that is how it is. Of course, you are not a judge, but at least there should be. I mean, the tools available, the evidence available to you should be able to lead to at least a certain.
On the face of it, I should see. Okay. That's not. So would you say that,
I think that
the NPP will be right
abused.
if some of, okay.
It has been abused, and you see, we will be hypocritical. That is the problem I have. To only say it is happening today, and that is the challenge I have.
Actually, that's not my question.
No, but let me also put it the way I want to, because it is the NPP that is complaining.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm saying
so if it was the UP party, UP party, what about me?
UP?
Yeah.
Is it the same UP?
United Party.
UP, the new UP?
Yes.
Well, UP just left MPP. They were with them.
Okay, but as a journalist.
Yes, I'll go with you. Okay. That it has been abused. I'm not saying there is a law. And some are able to cross that line, and that when it happens like that, you need to prosecute them. But it is being abused. Because for me,
this
doesn't.
Okay,
it doesn't
Fifi,
at all.
Let me hear you.
Okay, thanks. The first thing I would say is that for me, I do not subscribe to anyone using abusive language. I do not subscribe to anyone peddling falsehood or seeking to tarnish.
What is an abusive language? I have a problem when people say abusive language. What is an abusive language?
Tarnishing the image of other people.
It's a different story.
Well, that would get defamatory. It won't be criminal, really.
I will state that I do not subscribe to that. However, we should also be mindful how we received political opponents. I'll deal with the thing about MPP complaining and the MPP must not complain. There was a campaign during the 2024 elections. The MPP presented its record and told Ghanaians what we seek to do when we get the mandates from them going forward. The NDC told Ghanaians that the ills in our society, the things that have been done by the MPP, which they consider to be wrong, given the opportunity, they will reset the country and we will not get there again.
Would that have been an admission that the things that were done were wrong? No, you first would have to admit to it.
Let me make my point. As a political party, as a government, you shall definitely not get everything right. You get something properly done, and others may not turn out just the way you want it done. It is a human institution, and you definitely improve going forward. But the NDC says, despite promising Ghanaians a reset, correcting the wrongs of the past, they are supposed to repeat the wrongs and use what MPP did, which they considered to be the wrongs in our society, as a justification. Then what was the essence?
Equalization.
What was the essence of asking Ghanaians to give you a mandate to improve our situation?
I'm coming along with you. My challenge, however, will be that... I'm coming along with you, but Fifi, my challenge, however, would be, how would you how do I get into this conversation knowing that it's not sheer hypocritical, it's not sheer political, and this is a genuine request? Because then until the political party, which you admit that some, if they cannot get all right, admits to the ones that they did wrong, then they would have the moral right to be asking the same. Would it be fair?
I think that as a political party, there have been instances where the MPP has admitted. For example, the President Akufo-Addo, we are told, admitted that there are things that did not go right. And indeed, during the 2024 elections, Dr. Bawumia, who was a flag bearer, admitted to some of the things he considered that, well, we could have handled it better.
So that was after he lost?
No,
it wasn't. It was. Give me one instance. I've challenged somebody.
But he apologized for the things that he did wrong.
The election.
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
For time constraints, let us pass to further.
It does.
Okay.
The NDC now says that whatever the MPP did that was wrong, they will repeat it and then use the MPP as an excuse. Then it is pointing to a situation where the Ghanaian will lose trust in the political class, because after all that you seek to do is to repeat the mistakes of the past and say that because others did the same in the past, you will also continue the same thing. Then why would somebody go and queue to vote for you as a political party? Yes, Honorable admitted. I was shaking my head, and then he rightly admitted that really, what would be the reason why somebody will be picked to come to Accra? And there's a certain trend that is emerging.
That is emerging, meaning it's never happened. That's where I have a problem. You finish. You do.
Thank you.
I'm just trying
There's a trend that is emerging.
Okay.
Isando has been picked from Aguna to Accra. Recently, there was Baba Amando picked from Sunyani to Accra. Others have preceded. The question you ask yourself, is it a case that the security agencies, for example, in the
Sunyani district, the Sunyani division, the Sunyani region, they lack the capacity to handle this case. Is it a case that the security agencies in Central Region, they lack the capacity to handle this minor issue? They must be brought to Accra. And let me talk about how this gentleman was arrested. We are told that he was picked up, no information shared with his family. He was not allowed to a legal representation for hours, several hours. You are talking about the fact that he didn't cross the 48-hour mark. But what is the essence of picking somebody for that number of hours without a person having a legal representation? Because my expectation is that if the person does not have his lawyer present, the person is not going to talk. So why are you keeping the person?
The report does not suggest that he was being interrogated. So, I would ask the lawyers, by the way, though you have a right to
leave. If he's not being
legal...
interrogated, why are you keeping him? Is that his house? Is that a hotel? No. But you see, there's something happening. These arrests are rather being used as a form of punishment instead as part of the process of correcting the wrongs in our society. You know why? You talked about the charge or the alleged crime. Proving this, I don't know how they are going to get that done. But because they know very well that this will not fly before a competent court, let us use these means, detain him, take him from BNI to Signals Bureau, from Signals Bureau to CID. Just harass the person, and then after that, because you know what? You remember Abranya was arrested. What is the status of that case? Sir Obama Pokwasi was arrested. What is the status of that case? Fancy Comedy was arrested. What is the status of that case? Baba Amando was arrested. What is the status of that case? And now you have Isando.
Okay.
They are only using arrest as a means of intimidating people, as a means of punishing people, even though arrest is not supposed to be a way of punishing people. And you see, there's an account proverb that says, "Sede abuani dua, anka abuane chino." Sa so na enka ewo bofo nsem.
To it.
To it. Power is transient.
Okay. Amanda, you see, so that we don't sound like a broken record, so that we don't sound like it is equalizing. Let me deal with you purely legally. First of all, on what grounds would a person be picked up in another region and transported to Accra? I mean, even if it started 100 years ago, on what kind legally can that happen?
Yes, I mean, I think it's the fine balance between freedom of speech, Article 21, and that is buffered by, is it a national security threat? Is it a public order matter, or is it public morality? So once the person is deemed to be disrupting public morality, public order, and is a national security threat, you know, those headings is the basis of picking someone up despite, you know, everybody having freedom of speech. But that freedom of speech is curtailed if, for instance, they are seen as disrupting public morality or public order. Saying that, I do agree with what you've just said, that it does seem to be a way of sending a warning or a message out to people that you will be kept for a while, but nothing will come of the charges. You see what I mean? In terms of, there does seem to be quite a few people being picked up because of social media posts. I think the last time we were both on the show together, the doctor, the NPP doctor was citing a case that someone had made some slightly disparaging comment on a WhatsApp group about, not even an MP, but someone a bit lower down. Before they knew it, by the next morning, they were picked up.
Why should these cases be treated with some speed? Because in our judicial system, cases do not really, we really don't get the finality to cases with that amount of speed. Why would we request that of a political party member who made a post and was arrested, but we haven't seen anything yet?
Because they are seen as creating public disorder, affecting public morality, and is a national security threat.
Okay.
Just because perhaps their position allows more people to listen to them. And so if you're spewing information that, you know, those arresting you say is wrong, then that information is so venomous, you know.
And we must deal with it now,
yes,
get finality.
Now. But normally, I think, you know, someone is normally arraigned within 48 hours, etc. But I do think, however people view things, like that Taylor guy, Kevin Taylor, he makes all sorts of comments, you know, both ways, but mainly in favor of NDC. But some of the things that comes out of his mouth in terms of, like, I mean, I've known lawyers to even take him to court because the sort of statements that he makes, and NDC wouldn't arrest him, you know, because it doesn't go against what they are putting forward as a public policy sort of thing. And I'm not saying that makes it right, but all I'm saying that there has to be a fine balance, because being in politics means you have extremely thick skin, and we are in a democratic nation where you got into power because of the strong things you were saying, and people agreed with you, so you got into power. So that's the same way that some people might not agree with you. They might be commenting about electricity. They might have skewed their views on very particular things, like, oh, one particular area, there was something with Dunso, and so they made it into a bigger deal than it was. Yes, you know what I mean? They can be called out for it or asked to retract or whatever. But I do not believe that if we are in the comfort of our homes in particular, and someone puts on a WhatsApp group some minor comment about someone who wasn't even an MP, but just something he felt was wrong in his area, that person was picked up. That's what the doctor said the last time she was on the.
Is this not where we have a challenge? If you're coming to you, where if we allowed the public to be the ones determining what is minor and what can cause public panic and fear, then what are the laws for? Because then the person clothed with that power is supposed to make the determination, find the laws that would allow that determination and proceed. Because the duty really is on the person alleging to prove that this is minor, it doesn't cause any fear and panic. But this one causes fear and panic. But again, when I come to Honorable, I'll ask, there have been names that have been mentioned, and why are you arresting some people and not arresting some people? But Kofi, let me hear you now.
Sometimes I get...
My question really to you would be, at what point do we know that a person is hiding under the umbrella of democracy, freedom of speech, but is just misbehaving, really?
What misbehaving does not account for you being arrested. He mentioned, my friend BBB mentioned that there's an article 208 or a law that was passed in 1961. The law is on our books. That tells us specifically what to be done. Okay.
Yes.
The question is, I'm tired of politicians using our national security apparatus as their foot soldiers. And this is what has been happening in Ghana. Both sides. Both sides.
Yeah.
It goes way back. Okay, and the question is, the Ghanaian citizen, why are we being harassed? Professor Kumbo made a statement some time ago. He said, look, when you do protocol admission of students at a medical school, if you get sick and you go to the hospital, you meet a protocol doctor. And that is what we've been doing. This is a country that somebody will boast and hit his chest that me, as an MP, as an organizer, I managed to get so many people into Ghana police because they are my party members, not because they are qualified. Okay, there's no way we should be doing that. Even with this ambulance thing, that the people that are in the ambulance, that are not even professionally trained. How do you put somebody who's not trained as a medic in an ambulance? This is what we do. We put our party members, the police, the army, fire, immigration, everything party members. So obviously, that party member at the helm of affairs would like to show loyalty to the party. This is what is happening. And I'm not going to say it's one-sided, because I saw it under MPP, and I'm saying it now. And the question Fifi asked, the fact, and this is what I ask Ghanaians, if you say you've come to reset, you've come to do better, Why are you repeating what I did that you claim you were worse when you are in the seat? And I beg His Excellency, the President, don't listen to some of these people. Okay, and this is the problem that, you see, the President should have another group of people who will tell him, Massa, politically, this is not good, let it go. Or tell them, whoever did that thing, that, Massa, don't do it, stop it. We don't do it. Look, I don't understand why. And I will never do it. Okay, even when I was politically involved. If somebody commits a crime and is being arrested, I won't go and stand and make noise at the police headquarters. Somebody steals money, the state's money, and is being escorted to Yoko. I won't go and stand there and make any noise. Because after all, did you share the money with me? Okay, and this is what the so-called, the average Ghanaian person, and the worst thing is, when it comes to sharing of the booty, you are the ones who don't get some. The ones that will come, and I've seen them, I know them, both sides. Sometimes I call them that, why were you there? What were you getting? Oh, Masa Capito, send a party, they say. It is wrong. It is very, very wrong. If the party came into power and gave you a meaningful job, that you had to go to work, would you have time to go and stand at Yoko? Would you have time to go and stand at police headquarters? You wouldn't. So the question I'm asking is, the institutions, which is the security agencies, the commanders or the seniors, the IGP, the army commander, and all those people should tell their boys, Massa, some of these things, stay out of it. It's none of your business. It's not out of their business. The police are being abused by politicians, and it is wrong. Why would a police person tell me that you have invited me and I come voluntarily? Then you detain me for what? After asking me the questions, if you don't have anything else, whether to charge me or not, tell me go, when I need you, I'll call you again. But they will detain you because they claim that under the law, they have 48 hours. That is harassment. That thing is harassment. And I beg you, you're a lawyer. Fifi, you become a lawyer too. Emefa, you're also there. All these you lawyers, let's see how we can let Ghanaians be protected. You cannot use that. And time has come. I'm talking as a Ghanaian. I'm talking about somebody who feels that the law, which is supposed to protect the Ghanaian, that law is used to abuse him.
This is a genuine request, lawyers. Would you describe our democracy as a thieving democracy? And so for the laws that we've grown, we've matured, we're not thieving at all.
I have said it, that it is sometimes being abused.
Okay.
You need to be careful. That should be on record. And because, in fact, the law is relevant. Let's not kid ourselves. But there are statements that can be made by people that can even turn this country upside down. I'm telling you. And so the law, it is a deliberate one. But it shouldn't be for these result of these WhatsApp groups.
Are people informed about the law? Are people educated about the law? Do people even know what they can say that?
We politicize every crime in this country, alleged crime.
It's nice to hear a politician and a lawyer say this.
Yeah. No, I've said it. And I have said it elsewhere. But that's the challenge we have.
Okay.
What are we talking about? You made mention of something that are people just using. Look, what people are using now is a partisan whatever. He does something, he runs under a certain political party for the party to now assume that it is an attack on the entire party. And when it happens like that, then the whole thing, how can people, look, I don't want to repeat some of the things people have said before. So when it happens like that, and after. Do you understand? So when it is like that, of course, the national security should come in. They should ask you questions. Where did you hear this from? How did you get? But you know, in this particular instance and a few others, you talked about the arrest. Why should it be? It seemed as though the person has done something very grave. I mean, the manner of arrest and all that. Usually, and this one, the information I have is that he was invited. It is usually when they refuse to.
Then of course.
You can come and arrest.
Honorable. Okay.
The question I asked, if it is an invitation,
Yes, it's different.
Why would the police in Central Region not invite the gentleman to go for president?
No,
but
see,
rather
that one,
to come
the
to
challenge I have with, let us deal with this matter, because I've told you that Apia Stadium, you know the challenge.
You are talking about
no, please allow us. No, senior, allow us, because you see the challenge. They cannot read the MPP statement. It is made to look as though it has just happened. The hypocrisy. That's why I have if we need to deal with this. Look at the presentations. You are talking about
but
it is being abused.
I like to infer that he thinks that it was wrong at the time.
Don't infer. Let him state it.
Then what would that happen? Will it change their approach?
So that both of us, MPP and DC, we chart a new course.
Okay.
But for you to now, he said, and imagine, as if it's never happened. I've told you here that Apia Stadium was arrested in Kumasi and brought to Accra. Condemn that one before you condemn today. I'm saying President Mahama is not interested in this. I am saying that the law enforcement agencies,
some people are abusing.
They should be careful. We are not interested.
I think that's a fair comment. Let's move to what's happening in South Africa.
I am saying this. Honorable should not insulate the president of this conversation.
You see where we are going?
Why?
He should not.
Why?
So President Akufo-Addo arrested Apia Stadium.
Hang on a minute. And let's land on this and let's go to South Africa. What's happening? How many hours is it to get to South Africa from Ghana?
It's about 5 hours.
He says it's long. Please land.
Yes. We will. Was arrested. He went through a terrible experience. I understand his father passed away just around the same time when his son was picked up. The allegation is that people who sit next to the office of the president were involved in the causing his arrest.
An allegation.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Honorable. It's information out there. But, oh, please, Honorable, you know.
If you land on it, I want to go to South Africa.
President John Mahama, if you want one president who you can say is aware of what is happening in our country, you cannot say that he's not aware of what is happening. President Mahama is on social media. He's checking what is happening. Apart from the briefing he's getting, you can't say, President Mahama, what do you ca? He's aware of that.
He did what?
He saw it on TikTok. He repeated it because he's aware.
Okay.
All these arrests going on, is he not aware? You talked about the fact that when some children abused President Akufo-Addo and they were debordinized as a result of that, the moment it got to his attention, he acted on it. What has been the action from President John Mahama with all these things happening? Is he not quiet? How happy is he about all these things happening?
I hope that both political parties do better, really. But Amanda, I'll start with you. Okay, I'll start with you on what's happening in South Africa. I mean, this has been happening for years. To think that we've made some progress and this will also rear its head again is quite worrying. What's even more worrying is the fact that some Ghanaians living there have shown their interest to be repatriated back to Ghana. What does this really mean in the scope of things happening in Ghana and also South Africa?
I think it means it's a deeper failure of governance and economic inclusion that's happening in South Africa in terms of their dynamics and its knock-on effect on Ghanaians living there. And, you know, the threats to people that they should leave their shops and, you know, threats to their lives, etc., is unacceptable. Therefore, I think our government's position is extremely strong and extremely patriotic to the extent that Ghana has said they will fly out our people, as many people as want to come. And I think an initial 320 have said yes, they will fly them out. And that is very nationalistic. But with South Africa, it's so much deeper because they've got a very unique history that is similar to America in terms of slavery happened in America, and you know the Black Americans go through a lot of different things that are systematic because of their history. It's the same thing with South Africa, that one cannot divorce the fact that, you know, segregation and the disparity of wealth, even as you go to South Africa today, it's one of the most, it's a beautiful country. Yes, lack of employment, but having traveled to South Africa, Pretoria, you know, different places, breathtakingly beautiful, you know, far better than a lot of places in Europe and yeah, and just breathtaking. And so to live so close to that and not have a way in, even though so much has been done for economic inclusion of Black South Africans, you know, it is their problem they need to heal and not let it affect Ghanaians and different people. So the problem is not coming from Ghanaians in South Africa. It is coming from a history that we cannot divorce from what's happening. And it is also great that our government is sounding so international in terms of we will fly our people out, we will not accept this, we will let the world know, and we will speak directly to the government. And this is at presidential level as well as foreign affairs level, so it's fantastic. But it is also a signal to government as well that, you know, sometimes Ghanaians keep leaving, and at one point years ago there was a brain drain because we don't have as many opportunities, some would say. So it is also a good idea to bring people back and to bring people back to far more opportunities. But it is 100% unacceptable. And I'm very happy that Ghana is leading the charge globally to let people know what is happening to other Africans in South Africa.
Fifi.
Well, what is happening in South Africa is unfortunate. It's not supposed to happen. And it is even more worrying if you look at the history of South Africa.
And Ghana.
Yeah. Even South Africa as a country, there's a country that had a problem with whites and how they managed the situation in their country. And today, the very blacks that said that they were unfairly treated by the whites are the people who are fighting against their fellow blacks. The question you ask yourself is really what has changed? I've heard a condemnation from government officials. Recently, the minority leader in Parliament, Osahin Afenyomakin, also spoke strongly against what has happened. And I believe as a country, we cannot sit unconcerned. There have been some actions, and the expectation is that government will ensure that our compatriots in that country are safe and they are not hurt. It also points to the fact that, just as Amanda said, we must also look at how we can also keep our people at home and not expose them to some of these harsh realities out there. It is not the first time something like this is happening in South Africa. They've attacked our people in the past, and it's a repeat action we are seeing. It means that if we are considering traveling somewhere for greener pastures, there's a need for you to have a second look at it, because just imagine a situation where the shop you've established, they break into it, everything you've toiled for is bent or taken away from you, then what do you gain? I believe that we should also work to a state where we'll be able to also develop our country such that people will not find it inviting to move to places like Ghana. Has the Foreign Affairs Minister been there?
Well, there is a High Commissioner over there, and then they've been consulting together. I don't think it's gotten to the point where the Foreign Affairs Minister have to be there physically.
I just wanted to be sure that he's not been there. I don't have problem with the competences of the people who are in our embassy working there. I've seen a statement they've issued cautioning people and advising and all that. But I asked that question because of how we've politicized certain actions of our states. You remember where the Ukraine-Russia war started? Samuluku Jeto Ablakwa, today, Foreign Minister, Republic of Ghana, at the time, was the minority spokesperson of Foreign Affairs. He flew there and go back and read the things he said. Today, at that time, he didn't even have power to take action.
He was on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
He was there just to politicize the situation. At the time, our people, their lives were at risk. He was there to do politics.
Today, he has power. The people who work at the embassy, they work to him. He's the chief diplomat of our country. Why is he in Accra?
But if he's finding solution without having to go there, what will the fiscal presence mean?
The solution is what we are saying. Our people are not safe.
Okay.
But I'm only making the point that we must be careful
how we politicize
things such as the life of our people.
Okay. Bernard, so is it a genuine concern, the concerns of South Africa? If you look at the level of immigrants in South Africa, we have a little over 2 million overall, not just Ghanaians, the total. But in the first quarter of this year, unemployment rose from a little over 31 to 32.7, which means that there's still a high level of unemployment in South Africa. Do they have a genuine concern, though I do not endorse or agree to how they protest and also degenerate into violence?
They don't at all.
They don't, huh?
At all. I do not know how, especially an illegal immigrant in South Africa, would be able to get hooked onto their public, any formal employment there. Most of these people are entrepreneurs.
At the very informal sector?
Yes. And I'm not too sure how that can take anything away from itself. Look, every country has its own problem, especially in Africa. But nobody is doing what they are doing. The fact that you have economic challenges doesn't mean you should engage in what you are doing. If you have issues with your leadership, as most African countries have, you deal with your leadership. You can demonstrate against them, you can do whatever. But look, they should be very careful. I don't know why their government is quite slow on acting. Because there was an initial statement from the government that they condemned it, they were moving to arrest people and then prosecute. We never heard anything. I'm not too sure. I may be updated if there's been some prosecutions. But the people who are doing this, they even film it. It's all over. We know them. We see them.
They say that some of the footages are fake.
Who's saying that?
A minister at the presidency of South Africa.
Can you imagine? They are fake.
Yeah, they say they are.
But others are not. He said some. So those that are not fake, what have they done about it? You see, they should be careful. South Africa has some big companies elsewhere.
Why not in Ghana?
Let me put it that way. Yeah. I'm careful.
Okay.
Be very careful. The way they are proceeding, they should be careful. There is no justification for these things at all. Every country has its own problem.
Do you agree to the repatriation, the voluntary repatriation?
Well, it's voluntary, yes. Because it must be voluntary.
Yeah.
You can't drag somebody.
Of course not.
But if they are willing to come, and that's the government, I understand about 300 people.
Yeah, nearly 300.
If they are ready to come, but you see, this issue of let's also try to develop our country, but I think it's not the solution to it. People travel for several reasons. It's sometimes not economic.
Not to cut you, but I think the bit about repatriation, yes, it's important to ask our people to come. I have some friends in South Africa, and if you go there and look at the businesses they've established there, asking those persons to just...
No, it's voluntary. It's not.
I'm just saying that it is not just easy to say that, just come home.
But nobody is because
it's voluntary.
It's really voluntary. They must have done the math and see that coming home is better.
That it is important for our engagement with the South Africans to ensure that people who have established business, invested so much, are also protected.
Okay.
No, that has been done. I'm aware that has been done. But you see, you cannot also stop somebody who feels threatened and wants to come to his country. The state should assist the person come home. But if he or she, the Ghanaians in South Africa are not just 300. So it tells you that some more are not willing to come now. And you can't force that on them. We just appeal to the South African authorities. You see, it is a very dangerous path. And we must be careful. Okay. We must really be careful. But you see, as usual, we cannot politicize everything.
Which one is the...
You see, look, if we have to go into that,
Council, which one?
I think you have said that we cannot politicize.
You are not
So how about you be the star? Be the star of the moment. We're not responding to the politics.
No, but you heard him do politics.
Of course, you saw that I probed.
Yes,
I probed further.
I probed further.
Let me come to
Honorable, please.
Okay.
Honorable Okujeto Ablakos David asked whether he's been there.
I responded that he's taking diplomatic steps. I mean,
why shouldn't I?
This will not help. Because during that time, the Ukraine thing, we were expecting the government to act and bring Ghanaians home. It took Okujeto Same, Honorable, to do all these press conferences, went there and all that before the government acted. This is what happened. So let's not go there. There is a problem. I don't know who those come in. I don't know which party.
Those going there did not solve the problem.
Look, check the records. When the war started, Ghanaians were crying.
It was just a needless
and the government was just didn't care. It took all these press conferences before So you see, these things we do.
You're about to land for me. Please land.
No, he has landed.
No, you see,
over here we are like an airport.
For me.
He's landed. I'll land.
But what we have currently, for me, I'm interested in that. As for his politics, we'll just show. South African authorities must be up and doing. It is not, and this is not only affecting Ghanaians. I think Nigerians are also having their fair share. And we will get to a point where, if we are not careful, I'm a member of parliament, so I'm being careful what I say. But if we are also to come after you, what would be in Africa? We are talking about a Ghanaian MP being arrested also. You see what we do to ourselves in Africa. If we do this, where is the unity? Just a few months ago, or years ago, we had this treaty which gives us the opportunity to travel to
South Africa without visa waivers,
visa waivers and all that. And you can stay there for, I think, a maximum 90 days without even visa. So what has become of such arrangement? When we are seeking to be united as one people, this is the time you come after people. Look, the Ghanaians there, most of them are business, guys. They are doing some of them plying their trade, and they even train South Africans. They've employed South Africans. If you ask for, the last time when I heard some Ghanaians speak, those who are into the beauty industry and all, they train the South Africans. So how is that supposed to take anything away from in terms of your employment opportunities? He's doing their own thing. And then you say he should leave your country because of what?
Kofi,
should you also come after those here?
A question we're looking for answers to. But Kofi, I'll take your comments on this. And we'll move to the concerns of students for accommodation, rent.
I think the South African thing has been exhausted by the three panelists. So basically, we are all Africans. So we should live as a happy continent. Here we are trying to do,
after?
No, after African Union and all those things. And but it's interesting. If you go to Europe right now, especially, they're also having all this.
The Eastern and Western
Europeans coming in and them being accused of being quote-unquote
jobs.
No, criminals, doing all those, fraud things and stuff. So we should be very careful about the way we treat ourselves. I think I've been to South Africa and I've seen, you see, Ghanaians are not even the target. It's Nigerians. Oh, yeah. I don't understand why.
Honestly, you get to the airport and Ghanaian. Oh, yeah.
It's not even, it's not us. It's the Nigerians that the South Africans are angry about. You know why? Because the Nigerians, they come with big money, make big business, and then do all the big things, right? And the average South African man doesn't get that opportunity. Amanda, beautiful lady like her, instead of she dating a South African, Fifi will be the one, No, seriously, that is one of the major causes of the men in South Africa. That you've come and you are taking our women. Because you know what, in South Africa, it is very, very, very difficult for the average average South African to get employment. Because most of them are not educated. Most of them are not even trained. The apartheid left them very, very vulnerable. Okay, with this thing that came, that empowerment of the black people after Mandela came into power, that is what is bringing the MTN ownership. What's the name of their
Scancom?
president now? Mariposa, right? That is the president of South Africa now.
Yeah.
Do you know he's the largest shareholder of MTN? He practically owns MTN because of that. Because of that black empowerment thing. Okay, so the question is, and this is what I say: the rich will always be rich, and unfortunately, the poor can only be a little rich because the opportunities that the rich have, you might not get it. Look, we've done this thing before with Nigerians, but we didn't resort in, beating them all. Nigerians also did it to us. They didn't resort in also beating us by people.
But they said this is fake.
Well, that's the communication.
So
I brought that to the news
think,
this week.
I think but you see, my issue with the people coming home, and this is what is an advice. Every Ghanaian, when you travel and you live somewhere, even on a temporary basis, try and go to the embassy and go and register, which is the Ghana embassy.
Yeah.
So that in case of this, they will know how many Ghanaians who are there, that they can call of you, all
Make
of you.
real-time decisions.
To be able to say, okay, we are moving you tomorrow if you want to go. So those are the kind of things that I think Ghanaians who lived outside, it should be a paramount thing. I brought my son from the United States. The first thing I did was I went to the U.S. Embassy. I registered him that he lives here now. Do you know when he was here, every Thanksgiving, they would send me an invitation to bring him.
Okay. Well, that's some good advice. So if you have a relative, you should at least let them know that if you're in another jurisdiction, just get near to your consul.
As long as you hold a Ghanaian passport.
Yeah,
you go to the
identify
embassy.
yourself.
And this perception that if you go, is the embassy that would report you to.
No.
You should stop that.
Protect you. So this morning, I'm kind of like applauding the Nukes president who had to deal with a big elephant. This elephant has not been in the room. The elephant has been in our country, like it's really bold, and it's about rent.
Look at this.
Well, the footage on your screen is
they said
our footage that's coming from South Africa. Now, moving on to other matters. So we know that rent in this country is a killer. In fact, to have the president say that landlords should not abuse taking more than 6 months should tell you that it is a real concern. But there's always that measure, or there's always that point where the landlord also has some sort of real justification to why they must price their properties. We operate a free market.
Can I start?
So, so they have been petitioning. We know that the Ministry of Education is as well constituted a committee to look at the petition from Nukes, but they have been drawing our attention to the fact that rent control must really act on enforcing their act, and also investigate into exploitative pricing, also look at pure extortion and overcrowding in our hostel facilities, where, for example, 8,800 per student for a shared room for about 4 persons with a small size of 8 by 4 feet. These are some of the things they've been referencing, and as well, protection against victimization. If you are a parent, a guardian, an auntie, a poor auntie like me who's been paying for nieces and nephews, you can understand that this is a real issue. For a hostel fee, it's quite high. Amanda, I don't know, surely.
I'm a consumer guy. So let me start. This is an issue that I've fought for several years. But the question is, it's not about the amount. It's about the law that says that don't take more than 6 months. Okay, if I have a building and I say I want to charge $100,000 and you want to rent it, I don't have a problem. But you cannot tell me that because it's $100,000 and I want to rent, I should pay more than 1 year. Rent control, and this is what people should understand. We live in an environment that rent control was done when governments were very much in control of buildings or estates that they managed. All right? Mm-hmm. Because when I'm buying the land, government hasn't come to tell any landowner not to sell their land above a certain amount of money. Even now, we are buying lands in Ghana in dollars.
Oh, it started way.
No, I'm just saying we are buying lands in dollars. So the question is, the law says 6 months that they can enforce. I was very, very curious about them. I was going around the hostels, harassing the managers and the rent control of. Have you been to his office? Have you been to the rent controller's office? Where are the offices? I have been there. Their office was next to where Ghana Health Service is at that lorry park there. If you go there, Emefa, you ask yourself, are we serious as a nation? So people should stop talking and work. Look, it is wrong for anybody to charge 4 people the amount that you mentioned for one single room. Because it is not fair. If I'm going to stay there by myself, you can only add maybe utilities, on top of us for us to share, because utilities there, once everybody uses, it goes up. But this thing that, and it's not this time, governments pretend that they want to protect the people and they cannot, we should stop. Go to, look, I checked yesterday, KUNST, okay, they have over 80,000 students. Legon, about 80,000 students. Kevas, about 63,000 students. With all due respect, there are lands in these universities, vacant lands as we speak. What stopped government from saying that I will give you Emefa a bank guarantee or a facility, put up that hostel and then charge reasonably? You see, competition brings prices down. Until we start doing that and let competition do it, you cannot do controlling. We don't do that anymore. Because back in the day, government was the sole proprietor, sole importer, sole whatever of everything. Now, we say we are doing free trade. If you are doing free trade, how do you come and regulate it? Everything is the materials that the man is bringing from China to come and build a building, you charge even the duty in dollar in the equivalent that he pays in cedis.
One of the big questions that everybody's been asking is that would the fee and the charge be fair if the cost of living was also okay or affordable? So,
people complain.
Well, so I've got Professor Smart Sapon. He's a lead researcher and he's been doing some work on the cost of living outlook for Q1 for 2026. And he's just on standby by the wall. I'll get to him shortly. But because Amanda, I attentioned you before Kofi came in, let me hear your thoughts on this. Do you have any relative, do you have any niece, nephew paying this amount? And are you breathing well?
Yes, I do. But I think the formation of a committee to investigate is very welcome. But we must do more. For instance, I know that every government that comes in has a massive agenda normally for affordable housing, and they attempt to enter joint ventures with as many companies as they can, if it's fair for government, for instance. And I think, for instance, even Manette, Manette was initially some sort of joint venture.
It was a joint venture.
Yes.
Between the Ghanaian and,
Yes, and at the time it was like $10,000 or less per, and it was, to this day, Manette is...
or something like that.
Yes, per unit, and to this day, Manette is a very successful housing complex. So I truly believe that it's more about action, and government can't just say that this is exorbitant and pricing, and because at the end of the day, we live in an economy where people can price, and Ghana is one of the most expensive places to live in the world, so one can imagine why the housing is going up. So the only thing government can do is to revitalize their agenda, which every government has, but doesn't go as far as they could, in these joint ventures for housing, and more specifically for hostels, to make it so attractive that perhaps they give these companies, free land for like 35 years, and then the price has to be kept even below a certain standard because, again, children are our future. And when this particular government introduced free education, and I'll give it to them, that, you know, a carpenter at my mother's house was so excited because his daughter went to Wesley Girls. And he would tell everybody who would listen that his daughter was going to Wesley Girls because of this government coming up with their free education, etc., etc. So, you know, sometimes we do politics a little here, but these one-off stories, it's huge for someone's life, and going to Wesley Girls is a massive deal that will transform that family's life in future. And so we don't want it stopped after Wesley Girls. We want affordable housing, and government cannot put it on people that it's going to be less, because at the end of the day, we live in a commercial environment and pricing for accommodation is expensive anyway. So the only thing government can do is organize the land, enter joint ventures that are feasible, meaning only give them 20 years or 30 years or whatever, then it goes back to the state.
Okay.
Let them build something and let them make a profit if they have to, but it has to be capped and it has to like help more students. Basically.
Okay. So for the two politicians, I'll come back to, because I like to think that there's something on the wall that just may bite you a lot harder, and then we'll deal with that. When I go to Prof and I come back, Fifi, your question will be that, yes, free SHS, but the demand at the tertiary level will be higher. And so what must we do? And as all honorable, when I come to you, I know that at the tertiary level, you're supporting students at the entry level for fees. But what happens if I can get the fee, but with the support, and I cannot afford the rent? And can the rent control as well, you know, do this? But the big question is, if you had the power, if you had the purchasing power, would you have a problem? Will 8,800 be the problem? Question we're trying to get some answers to is, Prof, what is the cost of living outlook reports that you have been working so much on? Good. It's good to see you, by the way, Prof.
Yes, good to see you too. Good morning to all of us here. And we try to sample some households within these 8 regions. Altogether, we sampled 4,155 households within these regions. 100 of the constituencies within these regions were also considered, and this is what we came up with.
Yeah, if you want to be kind to Prof. Okay.
Yes, so this is just by way of the scope. So communities visited 2,350. The period of data collection was from 14th to 19th of April. Our target was the first quarter. So first quarter ends and then we zoom in. All right.
So you had 4,155 out of the households, out of the communities that you went to.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, all right. So then we go to the results.
Okay, we'll just work on that for you for a minute.
Good. Okay. Right. So this is the first one. We pick some basic items and we try to find out what the people feel about the cost of those basic fixed items. So everybody will do some level of transportation, everybody rents. If you are living in your own house, we estimate the competitive price of your accommodation if you were to rent it within that community. For transportation, public transport, 53% of them said it was quite high. Moderate to low put together is about 46.6%. You come to electricity, 58.3% says it is quite high as at first quarter 2026. When you go to water, 45 high, the rest moderate 34, low to very low, 19.6. Those who use their private cars, about 43% says it is high to very high, and then moderate to low as we have it. Rent, 46.5% says it is high, moderate 29.8, low to very low, we have 23.7. Cell phone, data, internet, core credit put together, high to very high, 49.5%, moderate 35.5%, low to very low, 15%. We standardize cooking into gas. If we were to buy gas, how do you see the cost for cooking? 44% says it was high to very high, moderate 37.5, low to very low. And then general food, cost of food, 47.7 says it was high to very high. And then we have the moderate to 33, and then low to very low, 18.7. So what I try to do by way of summary is that I combine moderate to low and take it as 1, manageable, and then the high to very high as 1. If you do that, then cost of public transport, cost of electricity, in fact, start with cost of electricity because 58.3, come to cost of public transport, and then this one.
Internet and cell phone.
Good. Those 3 would constitute
the highest.
The
With electricity topping, public transport second, and then your phone calls and your internet usage will come 3.
Yes. The rest are all worthy of consideration. But these 3, the sectors or the sector ministers or managers involved can look at these ones and what we can do about it. Because the current cost of living, based on these selected, just these few basic fixed items, you can see that these 3 are the ones highly driving the cost to the level of high and very high. We try to estimate how much people spend. And the average minimum moderate household with household members 3 to 5 are doing, if you do this estimation and take out the private transportation, you are getting about 3,500 a month for a very moderate average household.
Where a moderate household will be father, mother, and
father,
how many
mother,
children?
yeah, so 3,
2 children or
1 child or 2 children. So that is it. And the breakdown is as follows. You are likely to do 1,262 on food.
Okay.
And if you are that large, you can do up to 2,925 on food alone.
Okay.
Rice, you are likely to spend 147 to 294 if you cook rice 12 times in a month. You will eat other foods, but if you say you are cooking rice 12 times in a month out of the 30 days, you are likely to eat 10 kg, 2 of the 5 kgs, if you have a very moderate household size.
But you were specific on foreign rice.
Rice.
Imported rice, just rice. I should forget the foreign.
In fact, the local rice was not widespread.
Okay.
From the households, local rice was not widespread. That's why I zeroed in on the foreign rice. Then milk. That moderate household, if they feed on milk, will do between 8 to 16 tins of milk a month, costing them from 96 to 192 Ghana cedi. Oil. For that moderate household, you are likely to use 2 liters of oil a month. And this is out of a conversation we had with the households and the averages as presented. Then public transport. If you are doing an average of 20 kilometers a day from where you are to your usual market or workplace, perhaps you are ranging between 10 to 11 kilometers and you do that in and out, you are likely to spend on trotro or any public bus a minimum of 488 to 876 Ghana cedi a month. And I'm calling on households or individuals to start becoming self-aware. Take a note by close of day, itemize some of these things and put the cost you incurred and see what you will get by the end of the month. Those who use private vehicles, if your engine capacity is that moderate and you do about 20 kilometers distance daily, you are likely to spend on fuel to the tune of 1,696 to 2,871 every month. Gas, for that moderate household size, if you do a lot of cooking, you are likely to use 1 12.5 kg cylinder gas every month. Of course, some will be less, some will even use more than 1. And the cost will range between 213 to 520 Ghana cedi. Rent for a standard 2-bedroom for the areas we estimated. I know some areas will be very, very higher than these figures, but of course, in somewhere in the north and elsewhere too, you can even be dashed the room for free. So when you strike the average, you are paying about 562 to 1,125 on a very moderate 2-bedroom accommodation per month. Electricity, if you have that moderate family size, you are doing about 227 to 454 on electricity every other month. It is too small. It is too, we will not come to, Yes. So this is a very moderate
This is Fifi. This is for us. This is not for.
Emefa, are you sure it's for you?
We will not spend less than 400 cedis a month.
Yes.
On electricity.
So it's
no matter how small your house is.
So the range is.
No, he said a group of people, but I'm just
very moderate. A very moderate. Say air condition is not part.
No. We are not there.
So no
yet.
cause for alarm yet. Yeah, this is fun.
Then you have the core credit. Averagely, you are taking 139 to 278 on core credit and internet put together for an average adult member of the household. And then water, about 121 to 242 for that moderate. So this is a very moderate estimate. But the point is that, Emefa, even for this very moderate estimate, you are doing minimum of 3,500 a month. Other variable expenditure has not come in. Health is not here. Fees, some other things are not.
Skincare, wig, lipstick, all of that.
We born is not in it.
But interestingly, the income is not matching.
Yes.
It's very, very minimum basic expenditure. The income is not matching it at all. So this is the income data. And I want us to focus on these two groups. The green is for persons employed in the public sector, and then the orange for persons employed in the private sector. You see that, with the exception of this category, those who receive income between 2,000 and 3,000 a month, where there is no statistically significant difference between their percentages, the rest of them, for a given salary range, you see that about 2 to 3 times members of the private sector are contained in there. In fact, the general conclusion we can draw is that the public sector is paying 2 to 3 times better than their counterparts in the private sector. So the question is, if the public sector income cannot match the expenditure and they say they want more salary, what then becomes of their counterparts in the private sector? So I think that one day those concerned must sit around the table. We must find a model that would target enhancement of private sector workforce salary. I think it is quite very, very interesting. We must find a way, whether by some model or some means, somehow possible. I know we will say government has no business in private sector, blah, 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 but governments create the environment. The environment must include enhanced salary and all those things. Only that when the environment is created, we do not usually focus on what the salaries are looking at. So this is it. So you have over 58% of the workforce taking below 4,000 downwards.
And spending more.
And spending not less than 3,500.
Overall outlook, in conclusion,
good. You
notice that what?
So now, this is the point. As at first quarter 2026, overall impression is that cost of living is high to very high, and it is confirmed by 48.65% of the households we interviewed. Moderate, 33.05%, low to very low, 18.3%. So like I did in the initial combination, I want to combine moderate and low, and you can see that when you combine moderate and low, there exists only a 3% gap between those who say, let's put in quote, all is well, and those who say all is not well. What it means is that the cost of living is inching towards the higher direction, trajectory.
At a very minimal rate, or you say the rate is alarming?
When you compare this one to last quarter 2025, and that's where I end, you compare these two, you realize that as at last quarter 2025, when we were comparing it to 2024, you realize that a lot of people, 68.8%, were saying, oh, 2025 was way better
than 2024.
But interestingly, comparing that to the current situation, you realize that that feeling is falling.
Okay.
That feeling
as a percentage of what?
In fact, it is falling at 11.7 percentage points from those who say it's high at 2025 up to 39.9.
Okay.
And then those who say nothing is really occurring or there's no change is now around this point. So here at the comparison level too, you realize that still there is some 3% gap between those who say it is high and then those who say that it remains moderate or the same, as compared to earlier when those who said it was low was very high. So I draw this remark here and I said, in all, the perception that cost of living is lower compared to 2024 has fallen from 68.8 to 17.4, while that of high cost of living has risen by 11 percentage points from 28.2 to 39.9. And for me, these summaries must be taken note of. One, now the gap between those who says the cost of living is manageable and those who says the cost of living is high is closing. It's closing. So we must pay attention to it and try to work on it. I've talked about this already.
Yeah.
The third point says that the top 3 items that negatively affect cost of living are the electricity, public transport, and then core credits. We call on those ministers responsible to intervene, especially the public bus system. It looks like we've left them on their own. Everybody is charging whatever he wants to charge. Their unions are quiet, looking on, and everybody appears to be looking on. Let's pay attention. And then this is about the workers and the disparity between the salaries. In fact, it is such that for the same middle to low level manpower job, example, teaching, nursing, etc., as I mentioned, private sector pays 2 to 3 times less than the public sector. Wow. This, for me, is a matter of concern. And if you look at this last point, 32.2% of workers are able to make some savings at the end of a less disruptive month. It means that about 68% are unable to do any savings at all.
Okay. Prof.
Well, I think we should be, going forward, we should be thinking about living income or living expenses wage other than minimum wage.
That's what I was going to say.
It's been long overdue, senior. It's been way long overdue.
Minimum wages and then minimum wage.
Yes. Prof, thank you so much. Yes. And it was important to situate this at the backdrop of a very hard conversation on how much young people would have to pay for hostels, because of course it sits under the cost of living. And I know somebody who is closer to the decision-making, Honorable.
Oh, I thought you said anyway. No.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, what does this data say to you?
Well, I always say that the current government understands the problem. We are quick to say that we've not resolved the problems. Of course, there are challenges. And therefore, especially with the issue of employment, gainful employment and all that. Because, you see, most of these, with the comparison has to do with what you earn as against what you spend. If you don't really have anything doing or you don't have any gainful employment, surely you would not be able to go elsewhere in terms of housing and all that. I mean, sometimes it's even more expensive than we have here. But the people are doing what they are supposed to do to get enough to pay sometimes. And so the challenge really is about doing or getting yourself hooked onto something that would get you something to be able to take care of yourself. Now, the issue of the rent and the exorbitant fees that is being paid, I think, of course, it is related to what we've just seen. It's all about ability to pay. And that is why I'm surprised with the way it's really exorbitant. And those hostels the rent commissioner went to, they are on I think most of them are on the lands of the university.
Yes.
They cannot just charge anything at all. They have a certain arrangement. Even if it is PPP or build, operate, trans, BOT, I think they have a certain arrangement. Now, it is as a result of the university not being able to, take care of all the students.
The demand is higher than
through the traditional halls. And I do not know why that arrangement with the private people cannot be such that whatever is being taken with the traditional halls cannot be the same here. If it is the number of years you need to extend, do. Because at the end of the day, you regulate them. They cannot just be there and taking it. Most of these TF I hear is for teachers. TF hostels, as I hear.
Teachers fund.
Teachers fund. SNET does the pent. I'm talking of University of Ghana. And SNET is SNET. Because elsewhere, people have said that when you go to, if you're a member of a particular organization and you happen to use their facilities elsewhere, you are given a certain discount and all that. So can't we have a system where children of SNET contributors also have a certain, because it's our own, and look, my sister, and you know her, pays, I think, 22,000, yes, for the year, to be in a room, pent. And I ask myself, why? If tuition is how much? The government is doing its best to cater for at least first year. If the government sees that that is quite troubling, and parents may not have for tuition, which is far less.
Then what about accommodation? So when you go, you tell them.
You see, no, it's a big problem. We need to look at this. But the commissioner, quite doing well, but I think he should hasten with his public.
Okay.
He should get to work. You see, this country, he's doing his best. I think for him to go there, at least it's an eye-opener. People have come to see that, oh, there is a challenge here. Sometimes people even think that it's a norm. We've all come to accept it. So for an agency like that to zoom in and then try to ask questions, it's commendable, but let that move to work. There is no need to be.
Let me give the last minutes to Fifi.
I don't think it's necessary.
Before Fifi comes in, you see, let me...
just Fifi should...
No problem.
Fifi, please.
In fact, your kind...
And I'll be trust one.
Your kind, and then they want company.
And then me Paul me show no be time asa.
Except to add that I also think that the rent control boss is doing a good job, but some of his choice of words, I think he should hasten a bit.
Slowly. Okay.
Because, yes, we are in a free market economy. So just like Kofi talked about the fact that you don't say that, well, people will go and buy cement, they'll go and buy iron rods and all that. And when it's time for the person to price his facility, you go and say that you are in the market. You are at the mercy of what the market was offering. But when it's time for you to determine your prices, there's a cane behind you to tell you how much you are supposed to charge. I even heard him talking about the fact that hotels pricing will be, they will determine how much hotels are. He
talks too much. Let's be blunt.
Because you know what? Hotels usually will charge based on the number of people doing the booking, peak periods and off-peak periods and all that. Anyway. So I love what he's doing, but except that I think that he should be a bit more calmer in how he handles it. Honestly, the first time I heard the conversation about how much students were paying, my initial inclination was, well, cost of building materials were also high. But after second thoughts through, I realized that the prices were a bit on the higher side. Because asking kids in one room to pay 6,000 cedis each.
We look forward to what the committee will come up with.
I had not been there for years. It was just recent I went to Pent. And I was shocked. So you take all these monies and...
But the facility is another thing the committee is as well as looking at. But you've been an amazing panel this morning.
You know?
I'd hope to have the... Yes. Amanda, thank you so much. Fifi, thank you so much. Bernard, thank you so much. Uncle Kofi, thank you so much.
Landowners have 10 toilets.
Please stay. Please stay. There's more on the show. I know they have a lot to say, but unfortunately the time is up. I have other things. Please stay on the show.
Welcome to Sulas Enterprise, the shop that deals in industrial machinery such as generators, rice millers, water pumps, compressors, and mowers. From the smallest to the largest capacity, at Sulas Enterprise, we give you nothing but the best from the best brands such as Honda and Perkins. When it comes to our generators, we also sell mowers coming from brands like Honda, Briggs and Straton, and Oleuma. And when it comes to our water pumps, we offer you brands like Lily, and Pedrolo water pumps. We also sell rice millers for all capacities. We are located at Spintex, Kakalika Plaza. Also, find our various locations as displayed on screen. Or call us on the following numbers: 0243-839-463 or 0554-154-416 or 0240-541-493.
Sulas Enterprise, where quality meets affordability.
Now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It's been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Cadbury hot chocolate, crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy, chocolatey, frothy goodness, rich taste, so satisfying.
Cadbury goodness, the treats you deserve every day.
Rare time with His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II. This exclusive forum brings together CEOs, board members, policymakers, and captains of industry for a high-level closed-door dialogue on negotiation, mediation, and ethical governance for business sustainability, alongside a rare opportunity to engage in a deeply insightful conversation with one of Africa's most influential and widely respected traditional rulers. Theme: Leading with Integrity, Navigating Mediation and Ethical Governance for Business Sustainability. In today's complex and high-stakes business environment, the ability to make sound ethical decisions under pressure is critical. Join us on Friday, 15th May 2026 at 4 p.m. at the Kofi Ohene Konadu Auditorium on the UPSA campus. For RSVP or enquiries, kindly call 024-431-1996 or 024-587-9187. Be part of this defining conversation where leadership meets legacy and the future of ethical governance is shaped. The Ghana Business Leaders Conclave, a rare time with Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II.
Ghana, get ready for the ultimate athletics showdown. The African Senior Athletics Championship is coming home.
Let's go, baby!
Live at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, Legon. Watch Africa's finest take center stage from Kenya, Nigeria, Botswana, South Africa, Zambia, and many more elite athletes from across the continent. And flying the flag high for Ghana, Benjamin Azamati and Samino Abdul Rashid. This is African excellence on full display. Don't miss it. Live at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium from May 12 to May 17, 2026. The 24th African Athletics Championship. Powered by the Ministry of Sports and Recreation, the Confederation of African Athletics, and Ghana Athletics.
Thank you for staying with us. So by now you know that as part of the NPP's decision to reorganize or re-strategize and also unite the front of the party, a few decisions have been made. And this morning, we're joined by Dr. Akufo-Addo, Deputy Spokesperson for Dr. Bawumia, who has extended, or maybe people actually describe it as an olive branch, but I like to think that it is a thought-through decision, that he would name his former co-rivals to certain committees with the intention to reorganize the base and, capture power in 2028. And who better explains it and clear all the doubts is Dr. Akufo-Addo. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Emefa.
Today, we just want clarity. We want a proper roadmap.
Yes.
For those who do not know and those who have missed it, run us through the committees that the flag bearer has named his co-rivals to,
okay,
and then what they intend to do for these committees.
Let me just go a bit further and give a little background to how all of this started. So the party has always had standing committees. So anybody that has seen the documents that was put out by the General Secretary will see that there are essentially two categories. One is the standing committees of the party. What is new is the policy committees that we have added. And that came about during our constitutional amendment process, which I also had the privilege to serve on that committee. It was there that it became clear to the party, and with the direction that we wanted to move, that we had to move our discussions more towards policy. We didn't want to have an MPP where we just go out and criticize the government of the day without offering any alternatives. We also did not want to make promises that we really could not realistically achieve when we got into government, because we've seen that that is what is happening exactly with the NDC now. They said so much. It looked like almost anything that came to their mind, they put it on their campaign and they said it. Now it gets to implementation and now it's all over the place. So we wanted to avoid those pitfalls, because I do believe that the people of Ghana have always held us to a higher esteem when it comes to policy submissions to the development of this country. So that's where the whole idea of the policy committee was added to the constitution. So this is now part of the MPP's constitution. Moving forward, we will always have policy committees to be able to judge and respond to anything that comes up in that particular sector, come up with innovating ways we could improve that sector. Basically, your job as a committee is to just stay on top of things there and think of ways that we can improve it. Of course, sticking with the principles of the party, which include free speech and very good for business and all of that, just following our conservative principles. So that's basically where the decision to set up the policy committees came from.
Okay. So there's a chairman for the policy committee.
Yes, that's what the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah. He was also on the constitutional amendment committee. This was actually one of the very things that was very dear to his heart.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, now you ran us through. That's the idea, that's the thinking that went in deciding to have a policy committee when you already have the standing committees.
Yes, the standing committees have always existed in the MPP. Okay. We didn't want a situation where we go to our conferences as a party and it can look like an NDC conference. You can.
Over the years, has the standing committees been very fruitful?
Well, some of the standing committees are more active than others, I have to admit. Like the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, they are always doing things because some people take the party to court. They always have to draft the rules and regulations for our internal elections. So some committees have always been more active than the others. Usually it's before a Congress that some of the other committees like the Health Committee and co spring up ad hoc, because then somebody needs to manage like the first aid for our Congress. So we didn't want to run things like that.
So for example, the Health Committee and a policy committee that maybe will be discussing health, what differently would they be doing from the Health Committee?
So let me make this better for you. Let me name the standing committees that we have. So we have the Finance Committee, we have the Electoral Affairs Committee, we have the Disciplinary Committee. Now we have the Policy Committee, which is a new addition. We have the Organizational Committee, we have the Research Committee, and the Communications Committee is also a new addition.
Okay.
So initially, we always had the research, we always had the organizational, We always had the disciplinary committee, electoral affairs, and finance. So you see, these 5 are sort of very paramount to the running of a political party. Finance is usually to raise money and what's not. Disciplinary matters come up all the time. So it's the disciplinary committee that handles almost all the disciplinary issues that the NEC or the National Council will refer to it. So those are the standing committees. So just back to what I was saying. So when we have a congress or something, you see health doesn't show up here in our standing
Yes, it
committees.
doesn't. Yeah.
So at every point is an ad hoc group that is created to take care of the congress. When we go to congress, it's usually just election, and we were losing our true our conservative taste. So it became necessary for us to go to congress, and now we'll be discussing what the policy committees have come up with. That's the direction that the party is taking under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, not just showboy and shouting. We want to be able to, at every point, provide a credible alternative to the development of Ghana. Yeah.
While I acknowledge that after the election of the flag bearer, there's been an attempt to create or say that you're putting the front together, making the front a lot stronger. But we can't overlook, or we can't have this discussion without identifying that it was election and it was a decision by the party members that this is the person we want to go to. Let me in on the possible pros and cons of choosing your rivals, because then it's a clear decision. We want this person. This is not to suggest that they are coming to usurp the person's powers, but what are the pros and cons you envisage in the decision?
So if you look at the history of the MPP, almost at every point after the political or internal primaries, there's always a coming together of the front. We can go back as far back as 98, when His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo contested President Kufuor in 98. His Excellency Nana Addo lost that election, but when President Kufuor was elected president, he made him a minister. I think he was the Attorney General before Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
So we always have that kind of unity. And it has been very, very important to Dr. Bawumia especially. Not only is he doing this by involving them on the policy committees, he personally visited all of them. Not just them, he visited some of the former stalwarts that for one or the other reason may have been aggrieved, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, Dr. Charles Reku-Brobe, and a host of others. So there's been a lot of stakeholder engagement going on in the background to ensure that the party is united. Because, like I always say, you have to look at political parties as families. It's a very large family, and families fight. There are always, there's headbutting in families, especially when there's an opening for a leadership role. But it's important that after that leader is chosen, we all rally around that person. And to look at the portfolio of some of the people that contested His Excellency, they do have a lot of expertise in areas that they can bring on board to help. So that was the idea behind it. And some of them have consistently served on manifesto committees for the party in the past. So it was just in keeping with that. So they are co-chairs to some of the policy committees, not the standing committees. Of course, I think some of them find their names in the standing committees as well. But the standing committees are purely like a party decision.
Does this decision not risk any form of ego and friction at all?
If you know the MPP, there's always ego and friction. We've just managed to get through it all the time. There's always some form of friction in the MPP, but we are always able to get over it and to be able to achieve our goals. Because in the end, if you're a political party and you're not even able to secure political power, all the good things you have in your head will never come to fruition. So it is always important that we drop some of these things to be able to forge ahead. So I can also quickly go over the new sector committees that we've added. So we have a finance and economy sector committee. That one has the former finance minister, Dr. Amin Adam, as co-chair with Dr. Steve Opata. We have the constitutional and legal affairs committee, which is headed by Honorable Kwame Ayimedu Enchi and Maxwell Pukwajimai. We have the Foreign Affairs Sector Committee, which is co-chaired by the Honorable Samuel Abujinapo and Ambassador Dr. Emmanuel Enos. We have the Food and Agric, which is Isaac Yaopoku. We have the education, where we have Dr. Adeti. We all know his contribution to the Ministry of Education when he was sector minister. It will be almost disastrous for the party and the country to let such a person go just because he contested you in an election. And that has never really been the way of the MPP.
For example, let's practicalize it. For example, if Dr. Adeti, who's been in the education sector, is on a committee and thinks that as a party, let's go this route, right, from his expertise. And the party, maybe after meetings, because it's a policy discussion that that would arrive at that decision. I like to think that all of this would put together, culminate into your manifesto, would it?
Yes, that's it. There will be more processes for us to get to the manifesto.
Okay.
So just specifically for the policy committees to start working almost immediately. The manifesto will come out, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in 2020.
Who will bear the responsibility of a policy that maybe you thought through very well, spearheaded by somebody that's an expert, for example, Dr. Adeti? Who would bear the consequences of the policy arriving good or not arriving good? Who bears the responsibility?
Well, it becomes a collective responsibility. One thing that I think people are missing when they look at it, because this release is incomplete, the policy committees some have about 60 members. The Finance and Economy Committee, for instance, has about 60 members. So most of them are not even politicians. They are members of the party who are in academia, who are in finance, who want to be able to bring what they have on board to help. So if you look at health, we have over 40 people, several people you would never be able to identify as being MPP. But we are just trying to bring in all our best brains so that we can synthesize and come up with what is best for the country. So I don't think any one person should be able to take credit or lack of for one single policy. It would always be a collective responsibility of the large group. So subcommittees will also be formed under some of these things. So CC Finance is quite big, so there will be an economic subcommittee, for the taxation subcommittee and all of that. So at the end of all of that, if we arrive at a policy decision, it is the MPP's policy position and not any one person's policy position.
Have you not thought about too many cooks in one kitchen?
Well, in this case, I don't think so. That is usually how in a democratic MPP, that's usually how we come to any decision. Even if you've ever been to National Council, I think one of these days we have to invite the media once to just see what goes on there. It is very open, where say a regional secretary or maybe a constituency secretary who is a member of National Council will be able to get up on his feet and argue against the general secretary or argue against the position of the flag bearer. That is the way we operate, where everybody has a voice and is able to contribute. So I do believe that we'll be able to put our egos aside to face what is important, which is to be able to come up with the relevant policies for the development of Ghana. And that has been His Excellency's aim immediately after he won. Even prior to that, it was clear in his mind that this needed to be done. It was also clear in his mind that we needed to unite the front. And so he's been taking multiple steps in those directions to ensure that...
Let's talk about it's interesting, the big elephant in the room, talking about the party that bears the symbol of the elephant. So I know that Kennedy Japan has not... Well, of course, his spokespersons have said that he doesn't have any intention of moving or breaking away from the party. Yes. And so the new party that was formed, the base and all of that, I don't know if it's a movement yet or it is metamorphosed into a party yet to the level that...
When they're in court, so that's...
Okay. Many say that, well, it is the party or Dr. Bawumia anticipating that, well, there just may be a time that Kennedy or other rivals may just think that, you know what, I believe in my vision and I may want to break away. So this is just to put a stopgap on them.
I think it's very...
What do you say to them?
It's very clear to anybody who has actually followed Ghanaian politics that those things never work. If you break away, it's literally the end of your political career. Nobody needs to tell you that. There's nobody that's ever done that successfully.
It sure does have an impact on the mother body that they break away from, right?
It's always...
It's very insignificant?
I don't want to say insignificant, but it's always negligible. There was a point in this country where in the NDC, the founder of the NDC's wife Her Excellency, the late Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, broke away from the NDC and set up her own party, the NDP, it did not really affect their political fortunes because they did return to power. We've also had several breakaways, and it doesn't really last. There was a point where Mr. Gusitando also broke away from the NDC, tried it, and came back. So I'm pretty sure that as very accomplished and astute politicians that they are, they know it is not a viable alternative. And I have listened to his spokespersons, and I don't get the sense that that's the direction that they are heading. During the meeting with between His Excellency and the other aspirants as well, it did go very well, and there was a sense that there was a commitment that they could all work together for Victory 2028. So I don't think those are problems that we are even thinking about, and that's definitely not what we sought to cure with this.
What was the temperature of the party before the elections and the temperature of the party after the election and the temperature? And you're a doctor and I like to think that you understand what I mean.
Yes,
and the pulse of the party after naming these rivals as I mean, it's okay to use them as rivals for now. Let me just use former.
I understand what you mean. I think prior to the election, it was very acrimonious. It was very obvious to anybody. You didn't need to be a soothsayer or an insider or be special to know that the MPP was boiling. And it always happens from time to time when there's a vacancy in the MPP. Again, just because of how overly democratic we are. That's what I was talking about, the reference about maybe bringing cameras into National Council one day, just so they can see how it is. So it's something that always seems to happen in the party. That is why the decision to have the primaries early, to me, was a masterstroke. I was always for that decision. I thought it was great. It was very important to get that out of the way so people could heal. Because it is very painful to go for an election and lose. I have experienced it myself in 2024. It is not an easy thing because everybody goes into an election with very high hopes. They put in their all and they do believe that they can win. So when they lose, it is painful. It takes some time for that to marinate. It takes some time for people to reorganize and bring themselves up to be able to make the right decision. And so I do believe that we should give everybody some time, and they would definitely arrive at the right decision.
Does this naming or this appointment, has it dismantled the narrative that the NPP was internally divided?
Well, it's, as I'm saying, it will definitely take some time.
Okay.
But I think it has gone a long way to show that it is not as divided as anybody thought. It's something that we do all the time. After every primary, like I was making reference to 98, it was very acrimonious at that time. It was very acrimonious. And I mean, listening to stories from my father, who at that time was on Nanado's side, when he had actually worked with Kufuor before, it was an issue. It was very acrimonious. But they were able to come together after that. If you followed the discourse between Honorable Alan Chamating and His Excellency Nanado, it was also very acrimonious. But he made him Minister for Trade. So it's always something that we are able to work around. It's always something that the party is able to work around. And we have no doubts that this time the same thing would repeat itself.
Is it okay to say that I see that Dr. Bawumia is extending some form of, I don't know what kind of branch is it? Is it olive? Is it pineapples? Is it?
Obviously say that there's been an extension of an olive branch, not just by naming them on this committee. He took the initiative to go and visit each and every one of them.
Okay.
Personally.
Has the conversation at all come up about Alan Chamating at all? At all?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
We are moving forward. I think it's always about looking forward. Sometimes there's no need crying over spilt milk, but I am sure that door will forever be open. And again, those kind of decisions are decisions for the National Council of the party and NEC. And I'm pretty sure whatever they decide to do, we will all get behind it. But it's not something that is actively on the table now. We are trying to organize our policy committees. We are trying to build unity. We are trying to rebuild the youth wing of the party. There's a lot of work that needs to be done ahead of 20.
You think it'll be nice to have him back?
Emefa. Well, personally, I actually don't have a personal opinion on this, and neither do I have an official position. But a political party is a group of people. So It's always good to have people, but
What has been the reaction and the responses from the four rivals?
I think it's been positive listening to their various spokespersons. They all seem eager to bring the expertise that they have. I was listening to the Honorable Yahweh Duchim spokesperson, and he seemed in high spirits about his co-chairship, and he was willing to bring his expertise on board. I've listened to the Honorable Brian Echampong spokesperson, and it's the same vibe. And I listened to Kwesi Kwarteng as well, and I'm getting the feeling that everybody is healing, and we're slowly getting to that point where we can all come together and forgive each other to be able to move on, because that's also another very...
For your expectation, personal expectations, how long do you think they should have to heal?
I think there's no need putting a timetable.
They should take their time.
Yeah, not they should take their time. I do think a lot of the healing has already happened. Looking especially at the grassroots levels, we are having the grassroots elections as well. We started from the polling station elections. That's going on. And like I always say, even in constituencies like where I vote, where people went to join Honorable Brian, people followed Honorable Kennedy Ejapong, people followed Dr. Baumia. Right after the election, they were back together. So the acrimony is not that as pronounced as people would want it to be. Within the party structures themselves, after the election, they quickly get back together. So I can always use where I vote as an example, in Menchia North. Right now, there's almost unity. There's no Ken's team, Brian's team, Baumia's team. It is the MPP constituency executives. And if that starts happening from the bottom, the top will fix itself, because that's the base, that's the mass of the party. If those who are the party machinery are not holding grudges against each other, and they were fighting on their group chats not too long ago, now there's a united front and one vision for everyone. So I do believe the healing has happened, just at the pace that is suitable.
Would you run me through the people that the flag bearer has visited so far?
Okay. So he has visited all the four aspirants. He has visited Kwame Mpianim.
Okay.
Let me just pull.
What was Kwame Mpianim's reaction?
All the visits have gone very, very well, very, very positive. So he's...
How do you know for a political party if somebody's pretending? Do you have a test you...
I went to Holy Child, so I believe in actions speak louder than verbal. So you see through their actions. But one thing I've also noticed is that as a politician, when you get to a certain point in life, you don't need to pretend anymore. So I don't see any reason why Kojo Mpianim would have to pretend.
Maybe just for peace. I mean, I don't like you, but a smile.
So they would make an effort towards peace. If they don't want to see you, they wouldn't see you.
Okay.
They could refuse to let you into their house. That's just the way MPP especially is. If they don't want you, they will make it clear to you. So I do believe that the welcoming nature that they had and the very good interactions that they have is a good indicator that they are all willing to come on board. So he's also seen Mr. Kwame Mpianim. I already mentioned Dr. Anyaho Tamaklo. I mentioned Dr.
I'm interested. Dr. Anyaho Tamaklo. What did he say? What are some of his words?
I would like to keep that private.
Okay.
A conversation between both of them, but I can tell you it was very positive.
It was positive.
Very positive.
Okay.
All the visits have been very positive. He's also seen Dr. Charles Rekubrobe. The pictures that I saw were quite touching. I think everybody appreciates an olive branch in life. No matter what has happened, it gets to a point where we can decide that it should be water under the bridge and let's move on. And that's exactly the vibe that we are getting. He's also seen Professor Okwe, Dr. Adokufo, Ambassador DK Osei, and more of these are going to follow. And we will update the media as and when that happens.
Yeah, the current structure, if the NPP goes to elections, they'll be choosing a chairman. And per the new constitution, I like to think that the chairman then becomes the leader of the party.
Yes,
if I can dare say.
By chairing National Council, chairing NEC, yes.
Okay, what kind of a chairman is the MPP looking forward to? What kind of a chairman do you anticipate can hold all these standing committees, policy committees, grassroots, all the decision makers, and also the gains that you've made so far post the flag bearer elections? What kind of chairman would work?
I've always believed that if the entire tree is very strong, just one would not be able to make that much of an effect. So not to say that the chairman is not a driving force, but actually the day-to-day of the party is actually run by the general secretary. So I always think that is a very important role. The kind of chairman that the party needs is someone that will be able to resonate with the base of the party. Like you said, someone that will be able to gel with all the aspirants, and somebody that will be able to win us power. Because as a political party, it's always plain and simple. It's always about elections, and it's always about winning elections. So we do know somebody that understands that process and is capable of delivering victory for us in 2028. Because when it comes to matters of policy and matters of governance, our flag bearer has the experience and he has the necessary competence to be able to carry that part out effectively. But yeah, like I said, the General Secretary position also very important. All the other wings of the party, very important. The Director of Communications, very important. We are taking this whole national election process very seriously and hoping to bring out the best to be able to support His Excellency to move on and prosecute an effective agenda in 2028.
2028. Well, let me ask, how's the flag bearer doing?
He's doing excellent.
Okay. Just closing the chapter on the new discom, and you talk about Charles Emisa's death and how it exposes Ghana's deepening health care crisis. I know as well that you also have a new appointment.
Yes.
Yes, congratulations. I mean, you've been speaking for the health sector
exactly
for a while now, but
to me, it doesn't feel like anything new.
We do, and so congratulations are in order. Okay.
It's always good to be appreciated that the work you've been doing has been appreciated. As you've said, it's something I've been doing all along. I've been writing on health. I've been speaking on health. I mean, it's the expertise I brought on board to help the party. So I'm happy to.
As a doctor, by your profession, I hear you say that the death of Charles Emita is not merely a tragedy, it's a painful indictment on our healthcare system that continues to fail the very people that it's meant to protect. What do you mean?
So this whole idea to write this article started when I was watching Newsfile on Saturday. I saw two of my Dr. Sampene, Professor Sampene is basically like an uncle to me. And then you had Dr. Nsiasari as well, who is also very close, saw me grow up. So I watched and listened to their submissions carefully. I went to read the Prof. Akosua report, and I was very sad because it was very obvious that the death was very avoidable. Just a few things, if a few things had worked properly, his life might have been saved. If the EMTs were properly trained. I was very surprised to see in the report that they didn't seem to have provided any advanced cardiac life support, which is the ATLS, which almost everybody has training for. Almost everybody in the hospital setup should have that training.
Even paramedics.
Yes,
and all of
that is what your job is as a paramedic, basic life support and ATLS. So if you are not able to execute that, that's a serious breakdown in the system. If we do not have the ability to deliver IV fluids on an ambulance, that's a serious indictment. And all the other system failures I would like to cause that followed, it was very sad for me. And I could also feel the pain of the health workers that had been named. I was beginning to feel like the system found it easier to scapegoat them rather than to fix the systemic issues.
You're not saying this because you're a doctor?
Well, I think because I'm a doctor, I see it a little bit better because I know what it's like to be in an ER in the middle of the night when there's no bed and you are already overwhelmed. And this is when I saw Anne-Marie, actually, we went to Holy Child together, the first person named on the list. And she was also in KNUSC SMS. So I know the caliber of this person. So I found it very difficult to believe that she would be deliberately negligent.
If you look at the report, does the report bring you a very conclusive findings that it was a no bed, particularly?
No, it was a system failure, like I said. It was a system, like I said, from the report, it says that if the wounds, the deeper wounds were packed properly, basically the patient died of hypovolemic shock. That's bleeding to death, essentially. So if the bleeding was under control in the ambulance, there would have been a different outcome. If IV fluids were given in the ambulance, there would have been a different outcome. If the vitals were monitored properly, such that when you go to any hospital, you look at it and you say, oh my God, the BP is very low, so we need to do something, there would have been a different outcome. I think it was just a combination of all terrible things that led to the unfortunate death.
Does this surprise you? The system as it is now, does it surprise you? You've been a doctor for a while now.
Yeah, I was hoping that by this time we had made some progress. And emergency care has always been something from the policy side that I thought as a country we should take very serious. I was very pleased when we did the One Ambulance, One District initiative. Not only did we do that, we trained about 3,000 EMTs properly. That means they would have BLS and ATLS training at the very minimum. So the question I wanted to ask, that I posed to in my article, was what happened to those 3,000 people? Was it a different group of paramedics that were on this ambulance? Like, how did that lapse in training occur? Because that's something you should fix, or we are going to keep having this kind of thing. And listening to, I don't remember if it was Prof. Sampene or Dr. Nsiasare, he said something that was it just caught my attention, that when was the last time we heard of a no-bed syndrome in Komfanoche? It's not as prevalent as we always hear police hospital, Rage, Kolebu. I have personally worked at Rage before in the ER, so I understand how it can be super crazy.
Dr. Nsiasare.
Yes, yeah. But we don't really hear that in Komfanoche, because Komfanoche, as soon as they bring you in, even in the hallway, on the ambulance bed, you will start being triaged. And that's actually where they started training for emergency physicians.
Is that not what Professor Akosua is getting at? That, well, whilst we acknowledge the systemic failure, the medical neglect, and unfortunately, and I'm not talking about whether or not the names that were mentioned is good or bad, but he thinks that the health workers on duty could have gone beyond procedure and medical processes.
I think the report was very detailed. It was very well written because he's an astute pathologist, he's a professor. But the composition of the committee, if you look, I did see that one of the heads of the ERs was part of the committee. And Emefa, if you've ever been a doctor or anybody that is familiar with the healthcare system in this country, especially in the public sector, an MO really is almost at the bottom of the food chain. That is about my rank. Medical officer. You have so many people ahead of you. Even when you write a plan, you write plan plus somebody, plan plus your senior. Most decisions are not made at the MO level. So I find it very difficult, and I find it very convenient that we immediately throw the MO under the bus. Because what was the protocol of the hospital? Like I said, Komfanoche has a protocol. Rage will have a protocol. Police hospital will have a protocol. Kolebu will have a protocol. What the reports didn't tell us was whether these people breached the protocols of these facilities.
I think we'll know when the further investigation by the mother body.
So if the protocol of Kolebu is that if you don't call before the referral, they won't accept you, and somebody implements that protocol, is it that person's fault?
As a doctor, maybe this would be a personal question. At what point do you look beyond the protocols of your facility and attempt to want to save a life?
You see,
is there a point where there's always a collusion?
There are points like that, especially when people cannot pay. There's that dilemma, especially when your patients cannot pay and you know you can help the person, but they just cannot afford it. That becomes a problem. But Dr. Nsiasare said something that, again, I would want to go back to. It is about, you would have had to clear this decision with somebody. And we need to understand what the protocols of these facilities were at that point in time. Because you look at police hospital, the ambulance was there for 11 minutes. The patient wasn't even moved out of the ambulance. They would have a reason for that. I find it very difficult to believe an MO could make that decision alone on her own.
Right.
And to throw their names out there, scapegoats them, we will not fix the true issues. And then we will have another, next year by this time, I'm sitting here with you again.
Hopefully nobody loses their lives.
I think that's what is important that we avoid.
Always a pleasure to have you in studio.
Always a pleasure.
The time always comes quickly.
Yes.
I know. But thank you so much for joining us in studio. Dr. Kwamako is Deputy Spokesperson for Dr. Bawumia. This has been the AM show. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Emefa Adeti. Please stay for Joy News Desk. And as well, I have a quick birthday to do, else there'll be a gun to my head. right after this one. Happy birthday to Mr. Jacob Mensah, CEO of Fitness for Life. Wishing you a joyful and blessed day. May God continue to grant you good health. And this is from all of your friends and family and members of Fitness for Life. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Jacob Mensah. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please stay for Joy News Desk, and I'll see you at 12 for the midday news. Thank you for watching.
Changing, so should you. If you're dreaming, don't be afraid. And in the valleys, keep your head up high. Dare to dream with Puma drinks. Puma. Yeah, believe it, you can achieve. Oh yeah, clap your hands for the whole new vibe. Make we set the blaze. Oh yeah, come alive. Let me hear you.
Puma drinks, a whole new vibe. Another quality product from Casa Precon.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Across Ghana, in communities big and small, ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. This is the Joy News Impact Makers Awards 2026, celebrating those who are changing lives, shaping futures, and building hope. From Bimbila in the northern region, Faith Jakpasu is transforming classrooms through innovation, inclusive learning, and life-changing initiatives for students, teachers, and vulnerable communities. From Aflao in the Volta region, Felix Akakbo is building schools, supporting students, and investing in the future of an entire community. In health, from Winneba in the central region, Amos Ando is turning his personal battle with sickle cell into a national movement for awareness, prevention, and policy change. From Nkwanta in the Oti region, Bless Lantam is delivering life-changing healthcare to hard-to-reach communities, even in the face of conflict. From Insawamed Wedri in the eastern region, Antonio Say is restoring mobility, dignity, and opportunity through prosthetics and outreach across Ghana. From Adenta in the Greater Accra region, Valerie Ajatia is empowering amputees with hope, rehabilitation, and the courage to rebuild their lives. From Anyanui and Loga in the Volta region, Reverend Christian Valeto is rescuing, treating, and reintegrating neglected mental health patients back into society. From Akuse in the eastern region, Alberta Aite is mentoring, educating, and empowering over thousands 1,000 girls to dream beyond limitations. From Senyabreku in the Central Region, Isabella Akwabwa fighting period poverty and equipping women and girls with skills for independence. In Wash, from Sirigu in the Upper East Region, Dr. Anthony Akunzele is improving livelihoods through clean water, education, and economic opportunities for women. From Akache in the Volta region, Senyor Bomita is transforming communities through schools, clean water, healthcare access, and youth empowerment. And for the Corporate Partner Award from the Cape Coast Youth Development Association is empowering thousands of young people through education, skills training, and community development. These are not just finalists. These are change makers. They are nation builders. They are Ghana's true heroes. Joy News Impact Makers Awards, celebrating ordinary people making extraordinary impacts. Who takes this home?
The 2026 Joy News Impact Makers Awards is brought to you by Ghana CEO Summit, a decade of leadership impact. Labadi Beach Hotel, Ayuda, Ghana's #1 services app. Abakun, Services Bebre, New Crystal Hospital, growing in good health. Sulas Enterprise, where quality meets affordability. Water Aid Ghana, change starts with water. Ghana Chamber of Mines.